Hey everybody, welcome to CrossPolitic Live. We'll be having a number of guests coming in to the show throughout the live stream. Obviously, most of you guys who've already been tuning in are aware that President Trump was shot at a rally. He was shot in the ear, shot in the neck. The shooter, at this point, with the information that we know, has some sort of connection to Antifa, and he's also been shot apparently by the Secret Service. One other person has died who was attending the event, and so we don't know any really details about that yet. But this is a very charged, obviously, election, and Trump's a very charged person, and the Democrats have tried everything they can to come at Trump. Lawfare, the courts, every angle from taxes to past relationships, and through FBI, FBI documents. It's pretty crazy. So it's no surprise that they see the polls dropping with Biden after the debates, and now we're at this point. We're to the point where they've tried everything, and now they're attempting to murder the president of the United States, or the future potential president of the United States, the leading candidate of the United States. I have Bryce Eddy here with me. Bryce Eddy is he's on Charlie Kirk's board at Turning Point, a friend of ours. And Bryce, I want to bring you in. I know we got you stepping right out of a meeting that you're at there, and just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on why you think this is happening.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me, because I've, for whatever reason, this is one of those days when my AirPods don't want to cooperate. But
your sound's great.
Anyway, listen, I've been predicting this for a long time. I'm on record on multiple interviews, multiple shows. When they tried to assassinate your business, when they tried to assassinate your campaign, when they try to assassinate your character, this isn't like the days with, they just make an attempt on Dealey Plaza. But this is something that we know eventually happens, once they fail in all other means. So that's what we're looking at right now. And it's interesting because we've had so many of these conversations recently, and praise God that we've got a good Secret Service. But it is not easy at all to secret a weapon into those situations. Yeah. If you've ever been to a Trump rally, or you've ever been anywhere near the president, it is virtually impossible to do that. But this is developing. It's going to be interesting to see, who exactly this character was. Yeah. But it's no surprise when every day you're, likening Trump to, a Nazi leader or Hitler. This is what you get.
Right. Yeah, it seems like the narrative of, there's layers here. You can't deny the fact that the Democrats have been orchestrating so much legal warfare against Trump. That's an objective reality. You can't deny that the Democrats have gone after Trump every which way. Remember 2016? We're talking Russia and collusion. We're talking years of going after Trump, and they stole the presidency from him, and now they're trying. I don't quite know how to talk about and process all this yet, but there has to be some sort of connection between how the Democrats have treated Trump and to this Antifa or member, or again, we're still figuring out more information on the shooter, feeling righteous indignation.
Yeah, sorry there, Gabe. But you'll see this thing develop. It's highly suspicious as to who this shooter actually is, right? Mm-hmm. Remember, they made a patsy out of Lee Harvey Oswald, and it ended up, getting confirmed as other things.
Yeah, right.
So we'll see as this develops. But again, the establishment, the deep state or permanent Washington is at fault for this, because what we're seeing is people either being ginned up, right, and making some kind of lone assassination attempt, or actual deep state actors, looping somebody in. I mean, there's many layers to this, and it's going to be interesting as to how it all plays out.
Thank you, Bryce. I appreciate you popping in to the live stream. Maybe if as you get more information and you want to circle back in, pop back in, okay?
All right. Hey, thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. I want to get Doug Tenaple in here because he's got a short minute, and then I want to get over to Joseph Backholm, who's coming on here in a minute. But let's start with Doug Tenaple. Bree, make sure we bring Doug in the room. Doug, how do you make sense of what's happening with President Trump and this attempted assassination?
Well, God is good that he made it.
Yeah.
God is good even if he got taken, but my heart just is broken. Not even for Trump, but for the country, my heart is broken. My heart is broken that a bullet missed him and then went into one of his. All right,
let's stop here real quick. It looks like President Biden is doing a press conference right now, and let's bring that in.
Apparently, he's doing well. I plan on talking to him shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well. Number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back
when you don't have the freedom
to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think there was an assassination?
Do we have that?
I don't know enough I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make some comment.
Did they ask me that it was an assassination?
Was the security failing as president?
And then he walked off. It's our bold leader.
President Biden speaking.
Our bold president.
CNN's Evan Perez. Evan, just in terms of the investigation.
I'm sorry. Did he really just not say if he thought this was assassination?
He had an opinion. He didn't have facts. That's what he said.
Doug, I'm sorry.
I know. Everyone feeling good about the leadership here? Everyone confident?
Well, it would make me think that if this is an assassination, how would he define what could possibly be an assassination?
Well, he doesn't want to speculate. I'll tell you what's more troubling. Did you hear the first line you said?
What was that?
There's no place for this kind of violence. Why is that? I hate that phrase. What do you mean? How about just there's no place for violence? He goes, there's no place for this kind of violence. And I think that was a gun statement.
Yeah. We got to get rid of guns now.
Yep. If they go there, they're gonna, this is just terrible. They're terrible. You have the wrong people in charge. This is the kind of stuff that happens with all their crazy people. It was an Antifa guy, we found out. It's just my heart breaks for America.
Yeah.
My heart breaks because in man's heart is also vengeance and hatred. And, there can be violence tends to beget violence. It's I'm not saying forgive or anything, but I'm just saying don't escalate. do not escalate. We want justice, right? We want justice, not revenge. Revenge is God's. And so my big fear is where all our emotions and and we don't necessarily have the values to hold back a man's hand. We don't have the principles in place that you need to lean on in good times so that when the bad times come, you can rely on each other. This thing could really go very bad for America. And I feel, imagine Barron Trump, someone tried to shoot your dad today, and he's trying to go off to college at 18. Imagine Melania Trump. And it's just, this is evil.
This is the replay after Trump
would have gotten to the location
was
where he was shot. But he was outside the grounds, and
Secret Service
I think that's something that we're going to have to figure out how he got there.
Hey, Doug, I know you got to run. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Feel free to jump in any other time you want to have. Come back later.
Streaming for a while.
We got Dr. Tom Maskell sitting in the wings
I'm supposed
too.
to get to Joseph.
Go. God bless you guys. Thanks for inviting me on. I'm going to jump.
Let's bring Tom and Joseph in.
Yeah, let's bring. This is this is really interesting. I was tweeting. My producer gave me the heads up before everything hit the fan, and in that moment, I've learned 20 some odd years ago when 9/11 happened. You have these big moments. I've only lived through a few of them. Not to forget where I was and what was going on and the things that I should have been thinking about. When 9/11 happened, I remember not having the right motivations in the beginning.
Yeah.
And one of the things now, a lot of people who have lived through 9/11 and the time, we were able to get played into so many different directions because we were so moved by the moment. And I don't remember a lot of
That's a good point.
Of pastors being engaged in the moment. And I thought as soon as this happened, it's like, I want to talk to pastors. I want to talk to spiritual leaders. I want to talk to the people who know what to do in the time of trouble.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure to get Pastor Tom Maskell in here. I'm trying to get my pastor on the phone, trying to get pastors, because we we need to see the whole moment, and we need not to be manipulated because of what's going on by this moment.
That's right.
And so we got Pastor Tom Maskell. We're going to bring him in just a second, but Joseph back home, political strategist, also has a show on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
That's right.
Joseph, we know you have to run, but want to get your first reactions of everything that's happening and kind of what's your predictions of what's going to happen afterwards?
Well, thanks, guys. My first reaction is the fact that this bullet skimmed his ear and drew blood. God is superintending something in all of this that is really quite remarkable, because we're talking fractions of an inch, and we might be inch in another direction, and we might be looking at a civil war and something really, really awful. So it is really unfortunate that our dialogue, and I'll say it this way, I'm not surprised that this happened, because the temperature has been raised to such a level that, honestly, when you have said for years that this person is Adolf Hitler, it's not an illogical reaction if you really believe that somebody is the most evil man to have ever lived, or the equivalent thereof. I mean, somebody in a nation of 330 million people who isn't thinking quite clearly is going to make a deduction based on what we've said forever. Yeah. Our political rhetoric has been irresponsible for a really, really long time. Mm-hmm. And, that's a bipartisan problem, of course. And we have, as a nation, are certainly putting our hope in the wrong things. Mm-hmm. And therefore, when we foresee that the political outcome is not going to be what we want it to be, we despair. Yeah. And that's what we saw today, is people who have no other hope, right? The right and the left, secularists and Christians alike, we want to make the world a better place. Mm-hmm. But if you are a naturalist, if you are a secularist, you have nowhere to go other than elections. And when it appears that elections are not going to go the way you want, and that's certainly the way things have been trending. So if you're on the left and that's all your eggs are in that basket, you have been despairing. And when you despair and your hope is in things that are just temporary and earthly and beyond your control, it's not shocking to me that something like this happened. But of course, we're all grateful not for political reasons, but just for human reasons, that he missed barely, right? And how did God intervene in that? And so this is certainly, I mean, it almost seems crass to go to the political analysis, but you ask the question there, Knox. I think Trump runs away with this at this point.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, as a political reality, I don't know that he wins all 50 states, but I don't think that's impossible at this point. This is such a galvanizing moment. And frankly, the political theater that played out there and the images that were created from that are, Biden was in a hole anyway. I think he just got buried.
Joseph, can you stick around for a second?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Pastor Askell, first of all, man, thank you for coming on. I hit you at last minute. It's evening there in Florida. And I just, as the first thing that things happen and start to go on, I said, man, I got to hear from Pastor Askell. I would love to know his thoughts. He's always he's full of wisdom. We haven't talked in a while, but I would love right now to kind of get your take on this, glean some wisdom from you. And, you're my elder. You lived through this far more than I have. You've seen big moments like
JFK.
This. And so I think we need to have a good biblical grounding of what's going on and what we need to be thinking about, how we need to be praying, what we need to be doing. I just kind of want you to just completely unload on us.
Yeah, well, thank you. Appreciate the invitation to be with you guys again. Good to see you both, and appreciate what you're doing. First and foremost, my mind has gone right back to the Psalms and thinking about specifically Psalm number 2, Psalm 46, that we should not be knocked off guard by these things. These things grieve us. We never want to see them. They do stun us in the moment, and yet as we reorient with biblical thinking, we see that this is exactly what the scriptures talk about. And first and foremost, what is God's reaction in heaven as the nations plot and the rulers of the earth that they're going to fulfill their purposes and they're going to throw God's cords off of them? Well, our God is in heaven and he is in no danger of being deposed from his throne. Amen. So his throne is secure. He's ruling, he's reigning. And these types of attempts to thwart whatever might be going on in his purposes for the United States are not going to happen. The providence of God tells us, too, that there's not a hair on our head that is unaccounted for, not a sparrow falls to the ground apart from our Father's will. So that means that bullet that hit President Trump in his ear that wasn't 3 inches to the left, which would have been his forehead, was from God. This was from God. And so we acknowledge that, thank the Lord for that, and recognize that our God is in heaven. This is a time for us to be still, know that he is God, remember that, and to be confronted with the reality of wickedness and evil. And one of the things that happens in times like this, I hope it'll happen again, is even the liberals and the skeptics will begin to discover a category of evil again. Now, because it's Donald Trump, they may be a little bit slower to do that. But nevertheless, the world needs to be reminded that, yes, evil exists. There are demons. There's a devil who hates what is right and good and true, who loves to steal, kill, and destroy. And these types of things are just reminders of the reality of evil and the need that we have to be delivered from it. We are not immune to the impact of evil. We come into this world sinful and in need of being rescued from the evil that dominated our first parents and has continued on throughout history. So all of these things should throw us back on the gospel. I mean, that's the message that I want to sound to our people and remind myself of, is that we have a Savior. He's conquered sin and death and hell. He rules, he reigns. None of this has caught him off guard.
That's
and
right.
For anyone who has been thinking that, Donald Trump is evil and we just need to get rid of him, this ought to put them back on their heels. I saw something that earlier today, President Biden had told some donors on a private phone call, it's time to put Donald Trump in the bullseye. Well, we know that's a figure of speech, but that figure of speech was used several years ago by Sarah Palin.
That's right.
And the liberal press would not give her any wiggle room to just say she was using a figure of speech. So we're in very contentious times. I don't know if it's completely uncharted, but for most of our lifetimes, it's uncharted. And we are in desperate need of that which only God can supply. So if the people of God do not come to our senses and realize that what we're facing is so much bigger than what any of us can supply, and go to our knees and begin to pray, if we don't do that, we're not seeking the Lord, then we ought to get out of the way and pray for somebody to come take our place who knows God and is willing to realize that the only way we get out of this is from God. And we need to be petitioning him even as we stand for righteousness and do what he's called us to do.
Pastor Askell, I just have to ask, what were you doing when you found out that the president got shot?
You talking about today?
Yeah, today. What were you doing?
What was I doing? I was sitting down with my wife, and I'm a part of some communication groups that are usually pretty have their ear to the ground on these kind of things. And one of those groups alerted me that President Trump had been shot. They're always reliable, so
yeah.
Kind of the heart, but I double checked it. Once I found out, I told her, what was going on. We began to investigate it. But prior to that, I was actually reading over some legal documents about a court case that I'm concerned about. And so that was just sitting in my den reading and talking to my wife when I got this notification from a friend.
The reason I was asking, because I'm wondering, you probably already did all your sermon prep and everything's ready to go for tomorrow for the Lord's Day. But I'm wondering, after all of this, do you have an adjustment in what you decide to preach tomorrow after catching the moment of just happened? Or do you say, no, I believe God is sovereign, but whenever I prep my sermon, that I'm just going to go ahead and continue to preach because he designed it that way? Or do you just say, no, I think we have to talk about this from a church perspective? What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I'm not preaching tomorrow morning because I've just gotten back from out of the country. And so Graham will be preaching tomorrow morning for us. And I don't know what he will do. I don't think I would change my sermon at this point, given this. And if it were an assassination that was successful, or if it were someone in elected office already, that might change. I've done that a few times, but I think I probably count on one hand the number of times that I've changed my sermon that I prepared. All of some kind of event that happened in God's providential timing right before I preached.
One last thing, and I'll let you go, Pastor. The area of us, I think when the whole social justice movement came in, everybody had good intentions who originally got kind of behind it and said, yeah, there's some things we need to fix here. And you said it best in the documentary you did. We got played. And that always resonates with me in every big moment where we get swayed. And I can see myself getting swayed one way or the other, on this, and depending on how they decide to tell the narrative. But my sympathies are easily, without any equivocation, with our former president, President Trump. How do we, though, not get swayed with our sympathies in that direction? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. One of the things that I try to remind myself of, and others that have interest in hearing what I have to say, is that we don't get to quit being Christians in any of the most dire circumstances we might find ourselves in. And so we always are obligated to respond as those who know the Lord and those who have his book. And we must believe his book. Let's go back to it. That's where these Psalms, Psalm 2, Psalm 46, have been resonating in my mind here. These things are true. And so I'm never free to feel justified to respond sinfully, even to atrocious activities. And so that means that when we condemn evil, we call out evil men as evil, that we do so guarding our own hearts from vengeance, because vengeance belongs to the Lord. But we can pursue justice, and we ought to want to see justice done. So if I can remember that, it provides guardrails for me. Because, yes, we do have sympathies. We do have things that have happened to us and insights that we've gleaned over time that make us lean one way or the other to be more sympathetic and more readily willing to believe the narrative that fits with our preconceptions. But God's a God of truth, and things are still too confusing right now for us to know too much detail. And quite honestly, the sources of information are not always trustworthy. I quit trusting most of them a long time ago, most of the ones that have been the legacy types of media sources. But hopefully, because of the democratization of information, we will get closer to the truth more quickly in a situation like this than say what would have happened 30 years ago. So I would just say God's people need to be patient, to trust the Lord, read the Bible, do what the Bible says. Don't feel justified ever to sin, no matter how intense the circumstances might become.
Pastor Askell, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. And I'll be praying for you guys tomorrow at church and praying for Graham to bring that word. God bless you.
Amen. Thank you, brothers.
Joseph, you want to add anything to that? You're here. We got a couple people that are coming in. David Reese, Pastor David Reese is coming in. I see Jason Farley is in the wings, and my guy Nate Spearing is here as well. So I want to get them in well. But before, Joseph, you've been sitting there for a minute. You want to add anything else to this?
I mean, no. I think the right thing to do. I mean, I think what Pastor Tom was just doing there and was saying, we just got to keep the main thing, and. Despair is not a Christian option. Violence is not a Christian option. We leave to God the things that are God's. We control what we can control. And when we feel like things are out of our control, and they very often are, we just give them to God. And it's our job to be faithful with our character and our attitude and our behavior and our stewardship of our country and the moment that we live in. And we need to talk to our family and our kids and help them understand why this is, when you put your hope in something other than Jesus, you can be driven to do desperate, terrible, wicked things.
Like stuff like
and that's what we saw today, right? So put this in context and let's use it as a teaching moment. Thank God it wasn't worse than it is right now. And, let's just take a moment to listen to God to find out what our role is now.
Would you send Pastor Toby the link that we're in? And guys, I appreciate my producers because they've been on this before I was on this, but can we please stop watching CNN? I mean, please. Come on.
One American News Network or Max or Fox.
Can we not be watching CNN or anything else? We got Fox in the back. I don't want to see Fox behind me either. I'm not too impressed with that, but yeah. All right. So, I don't know who to throw in first. Can we? Maybe we can throw in both Jason and Nate at the same time. Jason Farley, Nate Spearing.
Thank you guys for coming.
Is that Nate? Nate, is that you? You look different. What's up? You okay?
Did we wake him up?
What happened?
I've been farming.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, you've been
I'm in my barn right now.
Yeah. So, Nate. So everybody knows Life on Target is your podcast. You haven't done any in what, about a year? Did you just start back now?
I've done two. I'm back in the realm.
I'm back in the saddle.
Yeah.
As someone who is skilled in the art of
I'm dying. I need food. Finish it. Just for you and your wife. I got everybody.
Go ahead and finish.
Just for you.
Just finish.
I'll just finish for you.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
All right.
You got, was that Fox? You guys can throw that back in there. Nate, you are a skilled. Thank you. Gabe is dying with food. He can't.
That didn't work. Dang it.
All right,
I had a big fire at my house today, like a total accidental fire. Like
Gabe, the nation had a fire.
Nation
today.
had a fire. My heel burned up at my house because I had a barrel fire and it got out of control, and so I've been fighting it for like 3 hours and. It's very apt to this moment with what's going on with our nation.
I wish I cared more about your fire. I really do wish I cared a lot more about your fire, but I'm trying to introduce everybody to Nate. Nate Spearing. Nate, how I don't want to divulge too much, but I just want to say that you're a very skilled. You would have been one of David's mighty men. Is that fair to say? You would have been one of David's mighty men. Yeah.
Yes. If you filter out all the heathens in the ranks these days, and you talk about the elite Christians, there's a very small handful of us that got to the level that I did.
Yes.
By God's grace. As we know, God has a path, and his path was to take me to the top amongst the most elite ranks. And, one of the reasons I reached out to you, I don't have the wisdom of the pastors that you've had teed up, but I think the what God had allowed as part of my story is to be shot at. I have been shot at a bunch of times. And as I watch this, the unique maybe input that I can give as I watch this scene, and I was watching the footage. I think it is less than 45 seconds.
Can we bring it up? We're bringing it up while he's talking about footage.
Less than 45 seconds from a bullet actually connecting with him. And he collects himself and stands up and provides leadership. That cannot be faked. at all. What is happening at a chemical level in his body never happened to this man before, and has not happened to the vast majority of the population. And you can see right there. So from shots ringing out,
how do we pay?
He's instructing the people around him, wait.
Yeah.
And he provides leadership.
Yeah.
This is not fake. You for sure cannot infer any cognitive impairment of this guy whatsoever at this point. And it's incredible to see somebody get that shot, go down just like that. You see, I don't know if you guys can figure out exactly how long it is from that hits his ear. He puts his hand up because you don't necessarily know what's going on. Everybody's on top of him, just like this. Like they're just swarming him because these guys are all on the team here. I mean, I think I've seen some stuff on Twitter about how did they let this happen. I would say initially, for anybody who wants to exercise wisdom in these situations, don't go down this road. Don't start propagating. Don't start continuing to fuel any of that kind of thing. The Secret Service agents that I've had the pleasure of hanging out with, the people that make it to this level, aren't fake individuals. And by and large, they cannot hold the political views that the current administration has. And they serve with dignity in no matter who is in the actual office. They have they are under a hierarchy. There's a position. Their job is not a political job. Their job is a technical job to provide this technical type of protection. There's not an instant hesitation here. You see how fast 5 to 10 people are. I would like to make the comment, the women that are on this detail.
Oh, Nate.
I'm sorry.
Nate, come on. You're going to beat me to it. Go for it.
Get them off the detail.
Yeah. That's right.
Nate,
get them off.
Nate, can I do
that? Is absolutely stupid. When she comes up here and tries to put her body over this presidential candidate,
his head is still
she does not have the physical mass to protect him.
That's right.
And that's okay.
That's not okay.
No, not for her.
Not okay.
It's not okay for her to be there. It's okay that she doesn't have the mass. This is not your job. This is not for you.
She's perfectly suited for a particular type of task
exactly
God has ordained for her. That is not it.
And one of the things that is, and here's the thing, when I saw that moment, because I saw the whole thing happen, and there was a lot of women, though, when he gets to the truck, there's a lot of women there who are protecting and around the outside of the truck. I'm thinking to myself, that's not what we do with our women. That's not what we do with our women.
They aren't supposed to die for me.
No.
Right.
I'm supposed to die for them.
There should be, and it just, my heart sank, and I'm like, oh.
That is not anything against that particular woman. That's not anything, but this is where we are in our culture, that we are throwing our women to shield bullets. And I think we could probably just shelf that because there's a lot of things going on, but I couldn't let that go.
No, I couldn't.
That's about all I got, unless you guys have any questions.
Actually, I want your response to this video. Bring this video up. I just sent you guys over, producers. There's actually apparently a witness who informed the Secret Service that there's a guy on a roof, and they ignored him. I
saw that.
Can you bring that?
I saw that.
You can't bring it in. Why can't you bring it in?
They're working on it.
He said he was pointing him out. He's wearing a Trump visor with the hat on, and BBC, I think, was the one that was interviewing the one I saw.
Yeah,
and that's where I saw that. He's saying, "Hey, we were having a party in the background.
Hold on real quick. Can
we saw a guy low crawling on the roof. We started yelling at it.
Nate, let's play the video real quick, and you respond."
And listen to the rally. Right, we couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up in probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up
there. You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Well,
okay, just
there you
be
go.
careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
Nate, what's your reaction to that information?
Well, at the end of the day, I think Trump's just trying to make things better.
Nate's muted.
We had a very similar discussion about this after the Uvalde events.
Yep.
And how I think it's very easy to sit back and armchair quarterback a live assassination attempt with multiple agencies involved, with likely different radio channels, and immediately start spinning this as they knew it and they let it happen. In some sense, like that's it. I kind of like, obviously that guy wasn't spinning it that way, but it's you can be on the ground and have a very specific vantage point. And when they said, hey, could they have seen him from their vantage point? I don't think so, because the way the roof is, why was it not all? It's like, yeah, of course. Why was there not somebody on the roof that the shooter was on after it's already happened? When you're sitting there with your friends in a beer and you just happen to be in the spot that you can see this happen. Doesn't mean anything conclusive, but I just, from my having been a part of complex operations with multiple agencies, with multiple different people, with different levels of training, all the way down to regular Army, all the way up to special operations troops, like it can get confusing on the battlefield, let alone in suburban America, to the point where you just don't, you can't sit there and say from that vantage point and infer anything, except for it's a very difficult situation to try to, in a wide open field like that. I pulled the imagery up. Looks like that the shooter was about 525 feet away. It's kind of hard to get oriented perfectly on Google Maps right now. I've kind of been doing some street view analysis, just like I did in the Uvalde. So obviously a pretty short shot for a guy with a rifle. To make a headshot from 100 yards, more difficult than but anyway, that's my feedback.
So 500 feet would be about 200-ish yards.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep.
How skillful is that shot? Because and I'd say two things here, Nate. The skillfulness of the shot, but also it sounded like I counted at least 11 bullets went off, were fired.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you tried to count, but it seemed like a lot of shots went off.
Yeah, and I guess at that point when that guy's account of it is that they immediately killed him. So if you're hearing 11 shots, I'm thinking that you're hearing the return shots as well. I haven't actually sat and watched the thing front to back and counted shots.
Yeah, there was return fire there. You can hear that.
Was that?
It sounded like some return fire happening.
Can we play that?
Yeah.
Nate,
I like his reaction to the shooting, to the live shooting.
Yeah, but Nate, there's something that you said. If you guys can find that and pull up the live shooting, that's fine. That'd be great. But Nate, you said something that really made me, because of.
So here's the Google map. Here's a shot of the Google map.
Yeah, and so the shooter would have been on that building back there, Nate. Is that what we're looking at? Is that where you?
Yeah. Again, I was trying to.
Yeah, it says Trump over here.
That's what's coming up from people. But again, I was getting on Street View trying to actually for sure. That's where his podium was set up. Yeah. That's where the roof is. I mean, that's the initial kind of assessment, but we don't know for sure. It's kind of hard to decipher. I was still in the middle of looking that through, but it's a pretty, for somebody who is sniper, has sniper experience or whatever, 125 meter shot is basically like shooting 3 yards with a pistol. Like that's an easy, prone rifle shot to make. But that being said, this was likely the most significant and from the shooter's perspective shot to make too. There's a lot going on that side too. So the fact that, and then the pastors have already spoke about the divine author.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is potentially a very easy shot for this individual misses, obviously pretty dang close. But yes.
Nate, feel free to stick around, but I really want to go back to something you said in the beginning that I thought was absolutely great analysis. And it's the way that you talked about how, listen, I've been shot at. Let me tell you what type of refrain you have to act like that. And there's a couple questions start running through my head, like, where did he get that refrain? Does he just understand the moment so well? Like, or is he like so in this that undeniably he's like, you are not going to take me out. We are going to fight. I mean, like that, everything about courage and my excitement and like, you can't do this to us. All of my American pride came out in that moment, and I couldn't even fight it. It was almost like somebody, if you cut off my finger and I started crying, that's just a natural reaction. Everything that I love about my country came out of me in that moment. And I was like a little boy cheering for his favorite like heroes and like, yeah, let's go. And I found myself turn up, but you're right. I've had guns pulled out, been at gunpoint, looked down the barrel. And I know that my reactions until I trained myself was to freeze or not to move. Like, people don't understand, you're right, how much courage that takes in the moment to act like that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody operates at a certain combination, a certain pH, the homeostasis that you're operating. And so no doubt he has been in tough situations before. No doubt that he's spoken to millions. So his body functions at a completely different chemical level than what you or I would function at in a normal circumstance. So for sure, he has trained himself to function under pressure, but this is a completely different kind of pressure, as I was saying in the beginning, that he's ever faced before. He stayed down, he collected himself, he's speaking to his detail, he's throwing out a fist pump. I mean, this is Teddy Roosevelt type stuff. And I'm going to go speak right away. I'm going to go to my next speech. I'm not going to stop, kind of stuff. And it's amazing. All the other sides, all the other facets of him that makes him polarizing, and the complexity that of who he is as a person aside, in this particular moment where he's been shot, he's very rapidly collecting himself and he's throwing out the fist is remarkable.
I got there you go.
There we go.
I totally agree with you on that. I was up putting a forest fire out of my house while this was going on. And when I saw the first video I saw was the shots being fired, and then Trump obviously getting oriented and then dropping down. And then the second video I saw was where the Secret Service was trying to surround the lady and the Secret Service trying to surround him and then take him off the stage. And, he's head and shoulders above the lady, and he sees, as they're ushering him off, he's like, hold on.
He says,
hold
wait.
You hear him say, wait, and then throws his fist up.
Yo.
I mean, that was
Nate, you're more than welcome to stick around for a second. We have Jason Farley in with us, and also Pastor David Reese. I want to bring you guys into the conversation. Jason Whitlock is watching, which is a high honor. Jason, I just sent you a link. If you want to jump into this conversation, feel free to go ahead and click that link and come on in. We'll bring you in as well. But let's start from the top and work our way down to the bottom. Jason Farley, take on everything that's going on. What are you thinking about? What should we be thinking about?
Well, you already had Pastor Tom in, and now Pastor David. So instead of a pastor's response, I'm going to do the storyteller's response. This is what has been wild, has been watching what this has revealed in the places that we get our stories. I counted 40 posts on Facebook before I found this. That's how long I had to scroll before I found this news on Facebook. My kids were sitting next to me, and they were scrolling through their Instagram, and they couldn't find the story. They were scrolling through. There was like, where do I find the news? We had to go turn on Fox News on the TV to find it. Obviously went to X, and then you had all of it there.
It was flooded.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think what that reveals is how much control of the narrative we've been under without anything to show us how deep the control is. And we know that it's there. We know that these algorithms are there working the narrative. But I think this has showed us a lot. Right now on X, the trending political figures are Melania and Jesus. Jesus has 3 times as many posts as the next highest political figure. So that is, I think, interesting and encouraging to see that when there's 3 times or twice as many posts about Jesus as a political figure as there are about civil war right now. I think there's a lot to be encouraged in terms of what's actually going on. But then to realize that we've got to be paying a lot better attention to how the algorithms are messing with the narrative that we're hearing, and be looking for news sources, I think, that are telling us the truth, because they don't have time to go in and shift and change the algorithm when something like this happens, and you start to really see what's going on. The other thing, you pulled up one of them there, is the 50 Cent thing. 50
Cent, yeah, that's amazing.
How many memes there are already about what's going on,
that's right.
and how quickly people have framed this narrative, framed this story into the stories that we've already got. And as Marcus and I have been sending each other the best memes, texting them back and forth to each other. So, because I would say the most common one is, this man is more gangster than most of the rappers out there, even 50 Cent, who he's been, how many times did he get shot?
He's got shot a couple times. I think 6-7 times.
He got shot a couple times, right?
So I don't know.
Even 50 Cent immediately posted, like, he's up from that gunshot a lot faster than I was.
That's interesting.
So
that's interesting. That goes back to Nate's point. Nate was saying, look at this. But can I just say this real quick? I know that this is the way that we communicate right now, and it does have some humor to it. But can I tell you, I haven't jumped into the meme thing yet.
Wow, look at that Matrix.
The moment for me seems more serious than a meme. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm wrong
I
for
think
thinking
so too.
that. I've gotten old. Okay, I get it. I'm old. I get it. But but it's the same thing.
So
go ahead, Jason.
But so my experience of it, my daughter came running into the room. Somebody just tried to assassinate Trump, and trying to find the story, tried to find the footage. Finally, turned on the news and watched it, and I immediately teared up the first time I saw him put his fist in the air.
Wow.
That I mean, I don't know if our current president could even get his fist in the air.
Not without help.
Realize,
oh my gosh,
right now without help, but you don't realize how much we've been missing leadership until you see it. You realize how empty of leadership our country has been for a long time. My grandfather was Reagan's accountant. He loved Ronald Reagan and hated politicians. He ran the committee that balanced the budget for Reagan and was presented, and he said, that he loved Ronald Reagan, but he used to tell this story of a time that he was standing there when Ronald Reagan hit the Oval Office and realized that he had left his jacket, his suit jacket downstairs, and he stopped and he had someone go get it because he said he didn't want to disrespect the office. And so he waited until he had his suit jacket before he went into the Oval Office. And my grandfather used to love to tell that story, to say we don't have real we don't have real leadership with our presidents anymore. We don't have presidents that think that sort of way. And it's such a different the biggest thing that we're missing in our country right now is fathers, or father figures, men acting like men, being fathers. And you see in moments like this, what it actually looks like. So I mean, and Biden to stand up and say stuff like this has never happened in America before. And you think Reagan got shot. That's just not that long ago. I mean, I was alive. We've had assassinations.
Yeah.
He might actually just not remember. I don't know. It's possible. But our country has gone through things like this before, and God has used it to raise up leaders, right? He used the deep despair of the country to bring the Jesus People movement to the fore in the 70s. He's used this before, and I know we've got pastors to talk to us about that sort of thing. But I think that this really revealed, for me, it revealed the story, the narrative control that really is going on through the use of algorithms, and just the deep hunger for leadership that our country has.
All right. Gabe is trying to get his food, and he's forgotten that we're actually live. No, Jason, that's really good. I just sent my friend Todd, I call him T Diddy, Todd Frio. I'm seeing if he can actually get on the show as well. But before we can
hopefully Jason comes on, so we got two Davids and two Jasons.
That actually would be pretty awesome. David, Pastor Reese, what are you preaching on tomorrow?
I haven't thought that far ahead. I mean, right now I'm scheduled to preach in the book of John, and I'm scheduled to preach in Esther, and I will likely continue in that. I may also give thoughts about this, but I want to. One thing I think the nation needs to think about right now is the reality that we're living in a time where, for political expediency, Donald Trump just put forward a position on abortion where he was trying to make it so that things were able to be looser in terms of what the Republican Party is supporting. My prayer, as soon as I heard about this, was that the Lord would use this to cause him to think about his own mortality and the need to protect life, and how his life is in the hand of the Lord. And there is nothing any man can do to spare his own life. It is dependent entirely upon the hand of God. And we do not know what angels or other providential work was involved in the placement of this bullet. But our our life is a vapor. And if our life is a vapor, we need to realize that we should not put our trust in princes. I saw this too. My immediate reaction was to tear up. I didn't stop because I didn't cry because I'm superhuman.
Well,
but,
no, you're Puritan. That's why you didn't cry. You're a Puritan.
just wanted to make sure everybody knew. But that reality that, you know, these types of things, we're in flashpoint country, right? This is the times where there's a great danger of things turning into an uncontrollable fire. And so I want to encourage Christians to be stable and durable and strong.
Yeah.
But one of the ways you avoid freaking out is by preparing. One of the ways you avoid freaking out is by having a deep bench of leadership as opposed to putting all of your hope into a single man. And one of the ways that you avoid freaking out is by having covenanted defensive arrays. And so I want to encourage people to think about the need for civil covenanting and to organize local churches. Men need to swear to seek to defend each other. We need to encourage churches to interact, to swear to defend each other if things arise. The idea of being able to call each other out for the mutual defense of each other in the event that there is, like in the wars of religion in France, and intentional targeting and killing of our leadership. If we find that conservative and Christian leadership is targeted and many of them are killed in a quick succession, that we need to have the idea of how do we defend ourselves and organize ourselves, and how do we avoid any sort of reaction and mob violence. So Christians need to be concerned about ordered liberty and mutual defense, and to think about the depth of bench of leadership. And what this man did is he responded under intense pressure in a way that is impressive. And what we need are men of valor who can do that, but who also will stand firm for the rights of the unborn. And we need to realize that we are called to do justice and realize that our lives are a vapor.
David, when you talk about a deep bench, I want to talk about preparedness as well. And I think Nate is all in on being prepared. Like, I've watched Nate Spearing sit up here and sacrifice living in a bus and building his own house from the ground up and buying animals and building out a farm. So I'm sure he got happy over there hearing you talking about being prepared. He's been self-sufficient, and I appreciate that. But I want to talk about that a little bit. But I really want to talk about the deep bench of leadership. What does that look like?
So first of all, in your home where you have the most control, it means you being ready to lead your family well. It also means you training your sons to be ready to respond to stuff. And so I'm really thankful. I've got a godly man at one of my companies who's been training me and my boys to box. And you get punched in the face and it's a lot harder to think. And so this idea that even from a young age, your boys being trained to respond to stuff, to have this idea that you fall back to training, right? It's difficult to rise to occasions. It's a lot easier to fall back on training. And so you do that from a young age. And the second thing is this idea that we need to realize that one of the qualifications of elders in local churches is cosmion, which is well-orderedness, competency to manage. It's kind of similar to this idea of a man of valor. And we need to encourage local leadership where we trust our elders at local churches to be competent men. And we need to encourage in our local area men of our church to covenant together to defend each other. And in some states, it's illegal to meet for training as a group and do joint tasks and to elect leadership. So I'm not going to advocate that everybody should do that. But I do think the law of God generally teaches that everybody should do that. So that being the case, we should carefully consider the need to evaluate men, and perhaps we could form airsoft societies where we train with airsoft, and that's for airsoft competitions. Those skills might also go over into other things.
Nate, I saw your face squinch up a little bit. What was that all about?
I guess it's just that we've been listening to what they tell us to do for a really long time. And that has bred men that act like women and women that act like men. And so I definitely I was just smiling just about getting together. I mean, they told us not to get together for 2 years.
COVID.
during we've had multiple shows on this together and talked about this. And the reality is as we're zooming back out and you're a man in your local community, you are required by God to protect your wife and children.
Yes.
You are required as a leader in your church. The prescriptive of the sixth commandment is to guard life. And we always can view it as the thou shalt not kill, but the reverse of that is to protect life. And the way that you do that is you cultivate the godly virtue. You train yourself to be calm under pressure. You train yourself to not be emotional, to not fly off the handle when situations are escalated, to think clearly. That's essentially what training does. Like Pastor Reese was talking about, when you are boxing, you have put yourself in a position to not be able to control all the variables. And for young men to realize, oh, mama's not going to be able to help me here. The blows are coming. And to be intentional with our young men, to be intentional as leaders in our family, to not look for this. We've talked about this before. When seconds count, the police are minutes or hours away, and so we can. This is the result of a peaceful time for all our wars taking place thousands of miles away, and for experiencing comfort and experiencing the freedom of movement that is historically unheard of for the period of time and for the amount of land that the United States has. We're living in unprecedented peace and prosperity, and we've talked about it, about how this is bred weak men. But there's still strong men. You see strong men right there diving on the president when they have no assurance that the bullets are stopping. You see them carrying out duty. You see them following their training. Stuff is. This is anything that even the Secret Service with all their training cannot prevent certain things from happening. And that assurance that we have as Christians that we are invincible until God is through with us. That was my motto on the battlefield. That's where every Christian, it was what drove me nuts while Christians acted so afraid during the last few years where we've kind of culturally lost our minds, is we're not afraid of death. Our Savior knows the way out of the grave. And so in light of that, all of us should be seeking to lead in the spheres where God has placed us. For me, that's why I haven't podcasted for a year, because God's placed me on this land. I have a family and a bus. I have to cultivate my fields. I have to plant them. I have to look after my flocks, and media is for times like this, where I can use my story and shed some unique light on it. But this doesn't change what any of us do tomorrow as godly men, if we're living right, if we're understanding the time in which we live, and we've already been preparing, we've already been seeking to train and to cultivate true meekness, as we've talked about before, incredible capacity for violence under control of the Holy Spirit.
Everybody wants that right now. Everybody wants somebody who can who can be extremely violent, that's controlled, because we have a world right now that needs to have men like that. Jason, I'm going to come back to you with this as well. But Pastor Reese, one of the things that I want to be careful about, there is a huge tendency to have a type of Jesus juke without real application of the gospel inside of the world that we're in. I think everybody, rightly so, and I don't want to dismiss this at all, we better have a strong and robust grip on the gospel of Jesus Christ. But it tends to seem that a lot of people who want to have that strong grip on the gospel tend not to have very good application to how to apply that to the rest of the world. How do we take both a strong gospel grip as well as practical, have practical wisdom to move forward in this current moment?
I think we have to realize that the Word of God is the authority that should govern all of our thoughts. And we need to have trust in the promises of God in terms of our salvation and look to that good news and realize that there is a victory in history that the Lord Jesus Christ brings to manifestation by increasing degrees, but also that we have a law word given from him and that we are to obey orders. And oftentimes people confuse which thing to talk about when. The law tells us what we ought to do. And one of the things that you find, for example, in the scriptures is very plainly the teaching that we ought to defend ourselves, we ought to defend the innocent, we ought to defend the weak, that those who have strength are given strength for the purpose of doing their duties and protecting those under their authority. We find the example of Purim in Esther, where there is a waging of just warfare in a civil war type of scenario for the defense of the Christian people, the Christian church underage. And so we need to understand that the scriptures have law that teaches us what we ought to do, and we can only look to the law as something that doesn't condemn us because of the fact that the gospel reveals to us the salvation that we have in Christ. And so that law word is a light unto our feet as a saved people. So yeah, we have salvation in Christ, and because of that, and because Christ is sovereign over the nations, we don't need to worry even when people are taking shots at our leaders. But we also know that we have victory and that we have a hope of conquering the world with the word of God. So we should apply the law in detail. And that means right now, what pastors ought to be ready to tell their people is there are increasing signs of violence in the land. We need to covenant together and mutually defend each other. We need to be preparing. And those who are not thinking about preparing are failing to do their duty to defend their families and failing to do their duty in terms of caring about the mutual defense of the church. When you look at what happened in Scotland or in France or in many places where Protestants were persecuted, as soon as there was danger, the thing was men started to bring their firearms with them and their swords with them to church to make sure that they could defend. Everybody's been thinking about this for a few years. But I'll tell you what, we ought to more and more take every time there's an increase in danger and realize there's an increased need for the organization of security for our churches, for our households, and for our communities. Every one of them is a providential ringing of the bell. It is a warning. And so we need to see that what we have is a collapse of society because of the rejection of the law of God and a rejection of the truth of the scriptures. And we're going to see a continued decline of the way that power is exercised and the way that society functions until people start grabbing Christians by the robe saying, you have clothing and you have food, rule over us. It's going to happen, and the people who don't want us to rule are going to try to kill us. This is simply the way things work. Read history, read the Bible.
Here's my question, because I'm looking down the road. You know, Trump, after this, I don't know how Trump does not get elected. And it seems to me that this is going to give more permission to a president to strong arm and lead by a strong arm as a president. And now we're going to have, likely you would have maybe a right leaning leader, a Republican, a conservative leaning, whatever you want to call it, but who now is going to play Biden just in a different way. Biden was a strong arm. Biden used lawfare. Biden used, he's used the IRS like Obama did against conservatives. Everything, Biden's been a strong arm, and now this is just going to flip to the other side, where Trump now has the nationwide permission in a way that Biden didn't. I don't know, just thinking through the tea leaves and moving forward. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I guess I would say one thing too is as you zoom out and you think about this as a narrative, that there is a very unlikely. It's very unlikely this person acted by themselves. So officially, did they let this happen at the government level, at the level where the federal agencies are being lax in what they should do because they want this to happen? I'm not necessarily going with that, but there are 100% people that are seeking to manipulate and that are outside of government. And in some ways, we've seen above and pulling strings in places higher up. So, you think about even just with this as the whole narrative that we've seen with the debate, with the historic earliness of it, with this almost scripted kind of throwing Biden out and all the talking heads kind of using similar talking points. And then this very quickly coming on, like there could be a larger narrative. There could be, are they intersecting? Are they all connected? I don't know. But I definitely, know that it's very hard to get this close by yourself without some kind of intelligence, without some kind of ability, because there is a very thorough, approach and methodology to this. So, that is the side that I start thinking about too, just knowing how many monetary powers are involved and how many things are happening at the global and geopolitical level that don't want this candidate.
As you finish talking, our producers put up the Washington Post as soon as they figured out what had gone on. Trump escorted away after loud noises at the PA rally.
What?
Okay.
I was trying to verify that on their website.
I was trying
because this kind of seems like the stuff that is immediately memed.
Hey, you know what, Nate? It's okay. I'm here for it. They have so many other failures. I'm willing to take this as true. If not, it is. But the CNN one, I've seen more than one headline around this, and I was trying to figure this out too. The CNN had the first. I think William Wolf posted one where they had the first minute up, and it says Secret Service rushes to Trump after. Rushes Trump off the stage after he falls at the rally, and
my goodness.
And I'm like, okay. The problem with this is it's so close to the truth that even the satire sounds real. Right, like that's the problem.
And if this is a verified snapshot of a page, this is one of the beauties of the the information being decentralized.
Yeah,
is that they would walk this back, or they would just eliminate it and remove it, and there'd be no way for the public to see this. But there's people grabbing stuff and making it permanent for the whole world to see if it is indeed. I saw that and wanted to kind of hold that up while we were talking about the narrative and the manipulation. But my initial thing too is to not let, even if I agree with this person and I'm reading my feed, we have to be wise here. We can't be reposting this stuff necessarily. There's a way that we can use biblical wisdom to say, yeah, I want to believe it. It's true, satire wise. But that's immediately for me. I'm like trying to look. I want to see this on their website.
Nope. It's true. It's true. Sorry, Nate. I'm sorry. I want to feel this way, Nate.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I know you want to feel it this way. I want to push. We got to be level-headed. Wisdom of the gospel. Mm-hmm. Even when they're on our team,
I agree.
We verify.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. I do want to say this though. It's time for us to be done with these guys though. I do believe that. Like after COVID, like everybody, it's time for us to be done with them. And one sense or another. Sure. But you're right though. We should not be. When you talked about controlling your emotions, one of the problems that happens in a country that does not have strong fatherhood inside of the family, I think I'm going through a talk that I'm going to be giving at a conference here locally for the Doan Creative Agency. And one of the things that I've been studying is fatherhood and how it relates to business. And one of the problems that we have in America, because of the lack of fathers in the family, something close to like 69% of families 69% of American have fathers and mothers in the home together. That's an intact family, 69%. And so we have close to half of the country that doesn't know how to control their emotions because fathers haven't been the ones saying, suck up your tears. Stop the crying. This is how you deal with the problem. Let's patch the bleeding. Okay. Are you even bleeding? If you're not bleeding, then don't worry about it. Yeah, they called you a name, grow some tough skin. Here's where our focus and here's what we need to do. When you don't have that and your emotions run wild, you don't have a way to deal with stuff like CNN where you're like, Let me keep moving and doing my thing. Even if it was true, even if those headlines were a big thing. Did I just see Virgil Walker pop into the stream? Oh my goodness, Virgil Walker is here. Virgil, you sit right there. I'm going to come to you in just a second, let you kind of get your feet wet of what's going on in here. I sent Jason a link too. We'll see if Jason Whitlock can join us. But Jason Farley, I want to ask the same question that I asked earlier to you about what was that I asked Dave Reese about? Totally forgot now. Virgil, you threw off my whole game. But Jason, I did want to give you
a different question.
I did want to give you a chance to talk. Go ahead.
Well, are you going, Jason, or me? I'm going. That's it. I'm taking it over. I'm still wanting to press this point. The Republican convention's happening next week, and it's likely
Monday, right?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, and he's supposed to announce as vice president.
Yeah, I wonder if that person's backing out a little bit now.
It changes something.
Well, if you want to be president,
yeah, you might.
Your options.
Well, the odds just went up.
I'll volunteer.
Yeah.
No, they never assassinate him.
But here's my concern with Trump, and it was my concern with Trump before this attempted assassination, was that he is changing the Republican Party.
No. He's not. He has changed the Republican Party.
He has changed it, but he's actually trying to change its platform now. And in a way that's...
No.
That's
he has changed their platform now.
It had been officially voted on. Yeah.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you think there's anything he can't do now inside the Republican Party?
That's exactly where I'm trying to go. Is that he had some fights in the Republican Party, and now all those are gone. Now there's even no... Now, I don't know who's going to resist. If Trump said we're going to do a nationwide 15-week ban on abortion, who would resist Trump right now?
Me.
Yeah. Not J.D. Vance.
Right.
Not Marco Rubio. They just flipped like that last week.
And I resist.
You know what I'm saying?
And I resist exactly because of what David Reese just got done saying earlier about the fact life is precious. We protect it. Your assassination, is evidence of how much we need to be concerned about life. And life starts right there at the point of conception. No life should be treated with such disdain, especially by its mama and father. So, Virgil, I'm going to move you until I figure out what my question was for Jason.
I want his comments. I want Virgil's comments.
Yeah, that's what what was going on? Where were you at? How'd you hear about it? And what's your take on everything that's going on?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the invite. I was just sitting here at home, relaxing. One of the very few times this week that I've even had a chance to kind of sit back and not do anything, not be connected to Twitter and Facebook and everything. Yeah. And my son literally came into our room and just said, "Hey, Trump got shot," and my wife just reacted because we had no idea. Was he joking? Was that real? Yeah. All of that. And then moments later, I just grabbed the iPad and get on the feed. And I think we were maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes from the actual event happening. He was gaming, really? And had some news feed and stuff up. And so he kind of saw what happened and then said, "Hey, Trump got shot." I picked it up and began kind of going through the feed and seeing what's up. And man, when I saw that brother come back up with a bloodied ear and telling Secret Service to hold up for a second, I'm like,
"Ma'am,
ma'am." I just, and again, had little to do with the politics.
Right.
It had everything to do with you don't let them see you get down. You don't, that's the American spirit. That's what you want to see. I was glad that he was okay. I heard someone got hurt. I'm still, I endured a bunch of news and then packed up and left. And I took my wife for some ice cream. So I'm literally just coming back from ice cream when I got Chalk Knox, when I got your text. And I thought, well, I got a minute or so. I got a few minutes before I really try to spend some more time with my bride. But I wanted to jump on and say what's up and connect with you guys.
This is going to go to everybody. I appreciate that, Virgil. Thank you for doing that. This is going to go to everybody. I want to start first with Virgil. You said something that made me think. You said this is bigger than politics. Yes. I think this might even be bigger than the presidency itself. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we still have enough of the Christian heritage in us to make us feel like if it happened to Biden, we'd still feel the same way. What's your take?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think, yes, I think there would be a galvanization regardless. I think it would be the impact would be different because I don't think the initial response would be the same. And I think it has everything to do with what was the initial response. This man gets shot, feels it, blood, everyone's over the top of him. He knows what's happening, but he is not thinking about his own personal safety and welfare. He's thinking about sending a message to everyone who's there that we're fighting on. And so I don't know that you would get the same reaction from Biden. And as a result, I think the response of everyone who witnessed what took place would be different. The galvanization would be slower. Folks coming around it to wanting to, stand beside him. All of that would happen at a slower clip than what transpired because Trump was willing to stand up immediately and let others know that he was okay and that they needed to fight on.
Jason?
Yeah.
Do you think that if this happened to Biden, the kind of goosebumps that you got when you saw Trump throw his fist up like fight, would you still have that same sort of excitement if you saw Biden do that too?
I don't think that I would. That's not saying that I ought not to. But I think what's different. And I've a lot of my friends who are left leaning or on the left are all already starting to say this is too perfect. They set this up. You don't have a cameraman there ready to take that perfect photo unless you already know what you're doing. So I have friends all over my Twitter saying that right now and Instagram. And I get it. So they're not feeling it the same sort of way. I think
but we shouldn't we? I feel like and maybe I'm wrong on this. I look, David's kind of smirking. I'm watching Nate. He's starting to develop a little smirk. And I feel like I want to believe that there still should be, because at this point, this is, again, like Virgil said, this is bigger than just politics.
I agree that it is. And I hope that I would have the right response in that moment. What I think adds to it, though, is how much is all of the lawfare that's been going on, all of the stories of election fraud and everything that's going on to see, and to have all of the folks on the left that have called for violence, all the celebrities calling for violence, and then to see it, and then to see him stand up. I think the whole story that leads up to this moment would be different if it was the guy who had been weaponizing the IRS, saying we got to fight, so you haven't been fighting for me all this time. So I don't think you'd have the same sort of response because of that. Right. I think because of the way everything has been against Trump, and then this is his response. I think that's what gives it the power. That's what makes this the third act turn that brings tears to your eyes.
David, I want to go to you next because I want to say this last one for Nate. What's your take on that? Because there's this weird setup. And some of it's in-house. So it's like the way that Jason just set that up, it seems like Trump is the good guy, Biden bad guy. Somebody comes for the good guy. We're happy to see the good guy dodge the assassination and pump his fist that, okay, we're still in this, we're going to win. And yet I feel like because we're still Americans, if somebody comes for any one of our public officials, you should pay. So what's your take on this?
I absolutely believe that we should not be happy when any of our lawfully put into office political officers have any sort of act taken against them like that. I do think, as a unrelated and theoretical note, that usurpation is something that ought to be resisted. And I also think that tyrants ought to be resisted.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to realize that Donald Trump and Joe Biden are not the same persons, are not the same caliber of lawbreakers, and that Joe Biden has turned the United States from a Constitution oath-breaking institution into a next-level Constitution oath-breaking institution and has usurped office. So I don't think they're the same.
I'm not going to ask any more questions because I'm afraid of where that might go next. I don't want to know. All right, Nate.
I would hope that any assassination, my response would be, "Oh no, that's not good." Right.
Yeah.
I do want to say that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that was said. I think that was said. Nate.
Okay.
Well, I think that everybody said if Biden's response, we know based on a long history of how this guy has conducted himself publicly, that his response would not be that. So we don't even need to talk about if he did that.
Yeah.
He would have got knocked over and carried off stage, let alone walked off stage. He has trouble walking by himself.
I don't know. I don't know that he would have made it off the stage. As soon as Trump felt that, his next move was to get down. I'm thinking Biden would have just kind of stood like a
Virgil. He would have crapped his pants. Come on, why are you doing that?
Well, and I think that obviously that is the in a moment of crisis. There are not minutes to have your staff carefully rig the teleprompter for you. There are not people to come in and whisk you off and change the situation. There are seconds. So getting down, that's, battle drill 1 alpha, get down. And I believe he would have done step 2, which is return fire if he was capable. But the reality is, like I said in the very beginning, he conducted himself under fire. That 45 seconds tops that he was down there behind, the men that were there instantaneously, and then the women that showed up like 5 minutes later in the protection detail. This is all crisis. We saw the best from the Secret Service. We saw Trump get up seconds later and completely spin it in a way, and he did that.
Yeah, right.
In the aftermath of the crisis,
right.
And set the course of the entire thing.
Yeah.
All the photos that are trending is fist in the air, American flag in the background.
I know, right?
It's incredible, and that's all I got to say.
Okay, so
it would not have been the same, but as a Christian and the like authority of this rogue guy to take out somebody and to take this matters into their own hands, I'm outraged about all of it. But the reason why they're not taking shots at Biden is because he's committing suicide every time he goes in public.
Yeah.
They're going after the guy that's in the lead.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Right. So Virgil's being really kind to us. He's got a date night. He's wrapping up with his wife after ice cream, all that stuff. I want to give Virgil, what is your thoughts about, what does this make you think about worship tomorrow?
Bro, wow. I haven't even taken that next step. We'll kind of wind down here a bit tonight and then begin thinking about that here in about the next 30 minutes or so. But man, it doesn't change my worship to God. I'm absolutely grateful for the country in which we live. I don't say that in any negative way, but I don't love the Lord more because of this or that it didn't happen. I love the Lord as much as I can as a result of the fact that He's given me breath and life. And tonight it could be my last night on earth. And knowing that I lay my head on a pillow with perfect peace because of Christ is an absolute joy. And if I wake up in the morning to serve Him, it's an absolute joy. And I worship as a result of the grace given me by God through Jesus Christ. And so in light of current day events, it makes me long for His coming. It makes me long for a world that's where we're walking out in a deeper and greater way. His light, His love, who He is. The gospel's being presented to all who are in need, and we're seeing it lived out in the public square. So all of those things are in place.
Virgil, go do your thing, man. Appreciate you, brother.
You.
Pastor Reese, I know you got to preach tomorrow too. If you have to run, I totally understand. Nate, you got probably cows. I get it. If you guys have to run, please stay around if you can. But I just want to say, thinking about church tomorrow, the first thing that popped in my head was, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah, that's right.
Church been ready for this. Like this is, during 9/11, we saw churches get full because of what happened in that moment. And it was just a tale of kind of the leftover residue of an old world. I don't know if that's going to be the case tomorrow. It would be great to see that people are like, you know what? I think we need to go pray. I think we need to go before the Lord. This is kind of getting wild.
That's the old way.
That's how we. I think that's how we used to think.
So I think to your point though is that remember when JFK got assassinated? That's 1963.
Yeah.
When Ronald Reagan got shot at, it was it's the 80s.
Early 80s.
But that's when that was a positive world.
Sure.
That was a time when Christianity was still culturally a positive good to be a Christian. And now we're in this world where sexual sin and we just got done with gay pride parades in the streets and exploitation in the streets and all that stuff. We're in a world where it's a different world now in this post-secularism where President Trump has been shot at in attempted assassination. The moral fabric is very different.
Yes.
In where we're at now versus what happened with JFK or Ronald Reagan. And so, I haven't even pieced all this together, but like, there's no absolute truth that there was like some sort of shadow of that in the 80s.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
I think
like
up until
this pendulum that we're in here.
Well, part of it for me is like I and what I was going to go with is I get the swings where growing up, even the drug dealers around knew, hey, could you pray for me? I know I'm wrong. I know I ain't doing good. I know I'm in sin. I know I'm out here crazy. And they were like, I need Jesus. Like the drug dealers in the block, that's how they were. And these new ones, they hardly know they alive. But there was this bend towards, we need to go to God. Right. But outside of that, I would I'm just thinking about the people who are called by his name. If they can understand what happens in worship, then when they show up, they're going about, and that was kind of my question and everybody's answered it this way. It's kind of my question with Pastor Askell earlier. We are so built for this as Christians that we're already doing the things that people are, what do we need to do? How do we need to operate? We're already doing those things because we've been going to church, serving the Lord, being faithful throughout the week. We go and have covenant renewal service. We're baptizing our kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's right. And we're doing the things. We're living faithful lives.
Gone to say that.
What'd you say?
So wait until Virgil was gone.
Oh, he heard it.
Say that.
He heard it.
He's still watching.
He still is.
I will say, if I can kind of direct this, if you're one of the people that are watching now, and you're like, oh shoot, it could get really bad. First of all, where have you been? But if you're looking for tangible things to do, that's a big subset of what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, man.
My theology of violence. I put together 3 guns every dad should own.
Yep.
It's the time to prepare for we military does battle drills, and they're rapidly executable without applying a deliberate decision-making process. It's a drill that you do. And if you haven't prepared, if you haven't trained, if it takes something like, that's why I'm bringing it up, because sometimes this is people that have been asleep and they're very good at getting us to eat a certain way and to consume a certain thing and keep us in a sedative kind of state. But if this is waking you up and you're trying to think about, man, I'm not ready for what's going on. You need to be, and I'm here to help. That's one of the reasons why I left active duty service at 14 years, walked away from a government pension, started a farm. That's why I live in a bus on a large piece of land, because I couldn't get the land in the house at the same time. We're in year 3 of a bus, but I got a range. I got chickens, I got pigs, I got a milk cow, and we're building out infrastructure because you cannot be relying on superstructures at this point. You cannot be. I think that as the chaos potentially gets worse, we see a less likelihood of government services we become dependent on. We see, they took out power for our entire county for almost 5 days in December, a year and some change ago. Like, every time the power goes out, you need to be using that as training. I get excited when power goes out. I'm like, ooh, let me see how many minutes till I get the AC back on for my wife. Like, my sons and I are out there unfurling drop cords. I got fuel. I got hundreds of gallons of fuel. I mean, we're ready to go for a long time, and it costs money. And you know how you get that money? By working and doing good work as God has called you to do, by being resourceful. I literally binge listened to Bonson's group or Bonson's book full time. We got 60% of males 16 to 54 not in the workforce.
That's right.
I think you're able to get spun up by all this social media, and you're not prepared because you're not making money. You're not out working. You're consuming this garbage that they're feeding you.
Nate,
get to work, man.
Nate,
make money. Let me provide for your family.
Let me jump in here and I just want to piggyback on what you're saying. I'm gonna just tag me in for 2 seconds here.
And we also got to let David Reese go. He's got
I know, because David Reese sells body armor, so you should have some of it too. And we're gonna get to that in just a second.
Ooh.
But Nate,
I'll add that to my 3 guns guide.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go.
Right.
But I just want to point out what Nate is talking about is the word that everybody actually hates. You are going to have to sacrifice. When you're living in a bus, Nate, how many kids you got? Oh, he's about to show us the whole environment. 5. You got 5 kids in a bus. He's bought his land.
I got my guard dogs are going too. We got 2 guardian dogs that are barking. I probably should be out here, but I'm trusting in the Lord.
And I just want to say, look at this. This is
5 kids in there. We're in year 3.
Yes,
we've been in here. But we got 54 acres and a lot of food production going on here.
And you're building your house right next to that, right?
A range.
But this is not something. What's happening here? There are going to be 3-4 generations down the line of Spearings who are going to look at his picture on the wall and kiss it and say, "Thank you, great grandpa Spearing, for sacrificing like you did so that we can be self-sufficient. We don't have to depend on anybody else." By the way, that is what makes a strong nation. Individuals who are self-sufficient, who can make goods and services, valuable goods and service for others, and then do business back and forth between those families. So that is the core. So the reason we have such a weak force is because that is not strong. The family isn't strong. That isn't capable. We're not doing that. Jason, I know you have to run. You got the dinner bell going. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm not neglecting my family. It so happens that they're all on the road trip going to a reformed string camp. And so we can go all night long on this cutting analysis.
Yeah. Well, then you stay right there. David, you want to add something, because I know you might have to run.
Yeah, thank you. I do need to run, but I think that Nate is on. And by the way, anybody who hasn't listened to like everything on Nate's podcast, like I've listened to like every show on his podcast. I cannot say that about a lot of podcasts. So I would really encourage people to find his podcast. Wait, what's the name of it again, Nate? It's
Life on Target.
Life on Target.
Life on Target. Okay.
Spearing.co is will take you everywhere you need to go.
So body armor is a tool that you want to have. If you've got an AR-15, you should have rifle-rated body armor. And that's a useful tool to have if you are in a situation where you're thinking about grabbing your AR-15. You're also thinking about wanting to have body armor. Mm-hmm. And so if you've got the money for it, it's nice to get stuff that's lighter rather than heavier. And you want stuff that's going to stop the things that stormtroopers are shooting back at you. So you want to think about it being strong enough to stop the stormtroopers. Stormtroopers have terrible aim and everything, but the laser blasters that they've got, they still have to be stopped. So that's something to think about. So I think that you want to be a part of a group of men who swear to defend each other and each other's homes. You want to have leadership, and you want to train, and you want to know how to function as a group to defend spaces, and you need to have choices of fallback spaces. You need water more than anything else, and besides the ability to actually preserve your own life in terms of the application of force. And so I just want people to think about that. If you live in a desert, pools are really nice as long as you got a way to actually filter the water. So those are some really basic things that I would encourage people to think about. But who you're working with and the zone that you are defending is key. And you need to think about who you're working with. If you're in a place where you don't have anybody else that you would swear to defend and who would swear to defend you, then you need to get out of there. Or you need to start preaching the gospel more aggressively until you realize you need to get out of there.
Yeah. That's really good, David.
All right, Pastor. Go lead your flock.
Speaking of Bardi Armor Republic. Thank you,
Lord
David.
bless you. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Have a good Sunday.
Were you able to get Pastor Wilson was he able to drop in?
Man, he texted me and said he was busy.
Okay.
Nate,
I got Daryl Harrison. I'm trying to get him to come on.
Okay.
So he's busy right now, but I think he's going to dial in when he can.
Okay. I want to bring up
Rod Martin. Did you text him?
I text Rod. He hadn't texted back.
Okay.
Bring up the scenario where Trump got shot. I'd like to play that live with Nate Spearing.
Did you read Trump's? You should read Trump's letter to everybody know kind of.
Okay, let's read Trump's letter first, and then we'll play this clip. But I would like when we get back to that clip, play it live and everything. But I agree with you. So right now, Trump put out a statement already. He said, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of the law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed. Oof. And also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter who is dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my ear, of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard the whizzing sounds, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through my skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America." So that's his latest comments on this. Obviously, it's just probably mending his ear, and he's fine and going back on it. But I want to now go through the
reality of that one comment. He could end up having a ear with a literally like a bullet shot missing out of it. Like talk about a scar that chicks dig. I'm telling you. Like.
Yeah, that's a good
You've
point.
been shot. So, can we rewind the video and play it with the audio? I don't want Sean Hannity on there. I just want the video of the shot of the shooting. Because Nate, when because I want you to be able to hear it too. Is it there? Okay, I shouldn't be looking up there because there's a delay or something. Oh, that's behind us. Okay, so let's go ahead and play it, and then with audio. Audio got cut. Why they aren't letting the audio out?
Did you guys grab the video?
Find a video. Because Nate, the first thing I want to point out as you watch this video is there was 3, 4, maybe 4 shots that went off even before the Secret Service got to Trump. That's a lot of shots. What is that? What are you thinking there on the ground?
Well, I mean, I think that initially it's a semi-automatic weapon. If he's getting that many shots off rapidly, it's not a
reload
bolt action. That's telling us a little bit about the weapon that the shooter's using. I think that there's probably I've done probably 2 to 3 weeks total protective detail training. So that makes me know almost nothing compared to the level of this training.
Yeah.
But you cannot have, Secret Service in the shot. There's a, in a sense, they're trying to blend in, we know that they're always there. So there's probably a certain level of bubble that they're getting, because that's not the rally shot to have Secret Service right there next to you, around you. That's not projecting the stuff that your campaign is hired to do. So there's a certain level of how tight these guys are going to be as part of it. So the delay, we can play it. And if we're analyzing it from that, I'm not looking at that and thinking, oh, it took them forever and a day. Now, these guys are no doubt going to go back and do a incredible AAR after action review.
Yeah,
they're going to run over, like, there's going to be the true masters of their craft are going to get together, and they're not going to talk about what went well.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about what they could have done better. The people that didn't perform are going to get reassigned. So there's going to be. I'm not looking at that and saying those guys are slow. What's their problem?
Yeah.
Because there's just that tension between, the security detail blending in. This is a rally. This is not. But that's my take on that.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Did you hit up William Wolf and see if he can jump in?
No,
I was trying to see. I mean, I just knew you would hit him up already to see if he can join us.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Nate, this is probably, don't get mad at me for this question, because this really isn't probably a question I should even be asking you. But since you're here, is it, oh man, is it foolish to be thinking the political strategic moves to use this?
No.
Yeah, you don't think so? So then, if
this is warfare, and our side, and I'm not saying warfare is it's a hot war,
right?
This is a war of ideas. This is from where we are as Christians. We know that until Christ's return, this is good versus evil. This is a knockdown, drag out, firm reliance on our Creator every single day. And I've spoke about spiritual warfare. We often view physical warfare as the most catastrophic because of it, the ultimate death of our physical body. But spiritual warfare is going on. Historically, I know Doug shared an article where they were talking about the riots on campuses and the response. And I think it was American Reformer, and it was just basically saying we are pathetic about using media, about spinning it. That is one thing that we have seen in the last several years is that the other side, and I'm not trying to say the other side being Democrats and us all being good little Republicans that are pro-life sometimes, and sometimes we got to sell out, but it's just political, whatever. I'm talking about Christians. We have to be shrewd. We have to understand the tools. That's why I'm on social media. Like, it's very convenient for me to just say, I'm going to focus local, but I believe God has brought me. There's not very many guys in the Reformed Christian circles that went to the ranks. You guys go to church with one.
Take a look at what happened.
Okay, here we go. We got it.
Yeah, you see something that said, take a look at what happened.
That sounds like suppressed to me.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I was saying.
Weapon.
Yep.
Because what you're actually...
Moving the spear. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Move. Go.
Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Moving to the spear.
Spear, get ready.
We ready?
Can I just pause for a moment and say, looking at the audience for a second, why? Look, I've been around enough shooting that when shooting happens, I'm not standing like that. I am on the ground.
This is my take on this. It sounds like that is a suppressed weapon that was used against him. And the clicking that you're hearing is not the actual round going off. It's the bullet breaking the sound barrier. It's the cracking. And so Trump knows what happened.
Said, take a look at what.
Here we go. I'll play it again for you. You want to keep talking? I'll let you go, and then I'll start it again.
Let's let the clip roll.
What happened?
Wow.
So if a gun that's not suppressed is going off 400 yards away or whatever, it sounds completely different. So I don't know. That's just kind of my from the hip. Like they're not really sure. The crowd's not really sure what that was.
Right.
It's not like they see in the war movies.
Right,
There's
right.
a clicking. That's the report of the round cracking.
Got you.
Potentially.
Which is why you don't.
I don't know what the audio, because we got really good audio. But I mean, the deal. This could be a directional mic, so that's why the audio is designed to get at the stage, so that we're getting a dampened of the ambient noise. So maybe it wasn't, but I guess the fact that there's some screaming, which I'm guessing is probably from the people next to the person that got hit. There's a couple people actually probably bleeding more than Trump in the audience that are screaming, and there's stuff happening. But then the other people kind of like trying to figure out what's going on. They're probably seeing that Trump is reacting a certain way and trying to read the situation based on that, more so than really hearing the gun going off and thinking that they're getting shot at.
That makes sense, because if it's more of a suppressed weapon, you probably don't hear it like the same way you would hear like a drive-by or something like that, right? Like it's just,
again, that may not be the case because of the way the mic is focused at the stage. But
guys, let's keep playing. Keep playing.
You see that guy in the background. He's like, "What?
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
what happened?"
yeah.
He's looking around,
There goes some
and then
fire.
they're screaming because somebody's actually got hit and he's looking over there and seeing.
I think there was a shot that happened at that point too.
She's like, "What? What?" He's putting her. I'm thinking that they're probably saying we don't got enough people to completely envelop him, so we're holding, and they're waiting to get a couple more people up on stage to go. Yeah, see, they got another guy up there. They're getting everything surrounded. Hey, we need some more people up here. Get around them. They're keeping them down. He's getting in position. They're just trying to reposture to be completely cover him as they move.
Get my shoes. Hold that in your head. It's bloody. So we got to move to the bus.
More people. They're getting some more bodies up on stage to completely cover them.
Watch out.
So that was like potentially a tactical pause to kind of get leadership, baby.
My goodness.
You missed.
Look at people got their phones out already.
That was I have similar reactions when I get shot at before, because there is definitely a moment where you don't know the shooter's there, and the reality that God has said you're going to continue living, and being, oh, that was your shot, buddy. You missed too.
Ooh.
Like that is a joyful time.
Yeah.
I haven't been shot. I've gotten hit with shrapnel from a grenade, but I've had bullets crack right by my face, and by God's grace, I'm still here. And obviously the reaction is like, ooh, and we know where you are now, buddy. So you missed your shot. And so that's, I would imagine something similar to what he's thinking, because he's collecting them. They stood him up. So there's a little bit more of a delay from then 45 seconds. They've stood him up. He's kind of collected himself. And at that point, he's realizing you missed, and he's throwing out the victory pump and providing the leadership.
I gotta read this from Jason
awesome.
Whitlock.
What Jason said? He's like, I ain't coming on, but I'll text
Jason,
you this.
I don't know if he's gonna come on because he's probably want to save some of his best stuff for his show, which I don't blame him. I get it. I totally get it. But he says on his tweet, Trump now has more street cred than Drake and Kendrick Lamar combined. Yeah. Trump is Tupac. Rappers are going to be lining up to get a picture with Trump. Trump should get a teardrop tattoo.
They were already lining up.
A teardrop tattoo.
Yeah. Which is really weird. When Trump ran the first time, before he ran, everybody used to call him Uncle Trump. I was just talking to Whitlock about this. And it's been amazing that since he's run, he's had a massive campaign to try and paint him as a racist. And all the guys, Snoop Dogg, everybody knew that was Uncle Trump. That wasn't even a question. It was Uncle Trump. And then somewhere after this past presidency with Biden, everybody's kind of like, yo, maybe we need to go back to Unc.
Someone in our chat just said that I read that Trump is still trying to go to the UFC fight tonight.
Oh my goodness! Yo,
if that
I saw some of that coming out. I was trying to confirm it.
I promise you.
But that's it. What did I say earlier on? This is a Teddy Roosevelt moment. He had another speech. He didn't go even to the hospital.
Look, I'm gonna tell you.
So
he already did another speech after this.
No, like Teddy Roosevelt when he was shot.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
He wouldn't go to the hospital. He's like, I got appointments, and he actually went and gave. I'm pretty sure he went and gave his speech before he even got medical attention. He finished his speech, and this is.
I don't care if I'm part of Trump's political campaign. I wouldn't care if he couldn't walk. I would be going to get that stuff.
We're wheelchairing you in or something.
I would go get that stuff that they give to Joe Biden, and I'm going to be like, "Yo, tonight this is your best friend.
That's right.
We loading you up.
That's right.
You are going to the. I don't get like that's where we're at this point. You know.
So apparently the next USC fight is in England, so it'd still be sometime tomorrow or something like that.
That would just still be.
I would go.
So from what I understand, he was hit twice. There was a report that he got hit in the ear, which I think everybody's visualized that one. But there was also a report that he got hit in the neck. I haven't been able to validate that one yet. So, is that Biden again? Is this the old one? Hey, Nate, did you hear this conversation from Biden? Did you hear when he talked about this at all?
Can we replay?
I caught the tail end of it.
Yeah,
and
I want to play it for you because I just want to get your take on it. I want to talk about it a little bit too.
Of the rally goer.
When they bring it up here, I want to see. I'm wondering what you should have been hearing from your president, right? I wonder if this is something you should have been hearing from your president. Go ahead, guys. Please play it. Oh, they're trying to find it back right now, but it didn't. There's a.
I mean, what I see is so you have immediate response from him, and then we have carefully scripted, saying all the careful terms, not committing one way or the other.
Yes.
You know, just balancing and like, I'm sorry, like it is very annoying sometimes when Trump goes off script, and you're like, dude, come on, man. But he's not towing the line. He's not trying to pander to every single person. He's not trying. I mean, that was just what I caught of it was just as vanilla, as scripted, as a tap dance, as political as it could be. And which is why everybody's like, what is this dude's deal? Like, if you're going to step up, say something. And I mean, former President Obama, I mean, like, came out very vehemently. Any kind of political violence of this kind is absolutely unacceptable. I'm glad that he's okay. It should be condemned, blah, 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 like immediately, you know, before I even got back here and texted you, I saw that he tweeted something out.
Well,
now, is he being handled the same way? No, he's not. He's probably got a little bit less of a process to get something that he wants to stay out public than Biden. But it was weak as usual.
It took. Do you think we're gonna go ahead, Gabe? What you
current the current director?
Here we go. We got Joe Biden here.
This is his previous press conference.
Yeah. Okay.
Hang on just a second. The current director of U.S. Secret Services was sworn in September 17, 2022. She was responsible for, Secret Services, 7,800 special agents. Prior to her appointment, she served as the senior director in global security at Pepsi.
It can be a hard not like of a Pepsi. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
She went from some sort of civilian Pepsi, hallway security monitor, director of hallway security monitors at Pepsi.
I didn't need that not to appreciate. I think she should have the job. I didn't need that.
Elon tweeted this out.
I got you.
And he said, so before being put in charge of protecting the president, she was guarding bags of Cheetos.
Right. I get that, but can we just say, I don't think that speaks as highly of Cheetos and Pepsi as possible. I think people.
I can't say it. This is one of the things I've been trying to figure out how to say. But as you look across the ranks of the people that have been appointed, the 4-star generals, the Secretary of Defense, the celebration of diversity, the transgender movement, I don't think that a legitimate argument can be made that competence is the highest, what is required in the highest order for some of these appointments. There's political motivations for the appointments, and we've seen issues. Now, does that mean that this detail was messed up? Does that mean no? But what we don't have the leadership we need in all these key positions. We don't. And that trickles down. It's easy to look at the president and just be like, oh, the people that are in charge at every level are connected and are at a similar level of competency. And we don't have leadership there's a vacuum in the country. And even like people that could step up aren't wanting to because of how nasty stuff is right now. They're trying to kill you if you're the opposition.
That's facts. Now that we have this Biden clip, I want to go back and revisit what Biden said after the attempted assassination on our former president.
Thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government.
Hit pause. Did he say that he was thoroughly briefed? Yeah. I just want to remind, when we heard this, we caught this live. And so we didn't hear the beginning. We caught it somewhere after this. But I just want everybody to pay attention real quick. Our president currently said he was thoroughly briefed. All right, let's keep going.
Now, I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully and without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well. Number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much. And I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think there was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts.
Okay.
So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make some comment.
Hit pause. This part right there.
Where were you? What happened?
I was about.
That is.
I have opinion, not fact. He doesn't know what's going on. They woke him up. They woke him up out of bed.
Definitely, I want to go ahead and correct my previous comments. He did better than I thought. I caught the very end of when he was tap dancing around that question about the assassination. It was definitely not. I bet you somebody blurted that question out. I bet you that.
Clearly.
And you could see, oh shoot, that's off script. I don't know what to do now, and then off stage, right. Like It's
what else do you call it? What else do you call it when gunshots are coming your direction? You're president and you get shot in the ear. What else is that?
Yeah.
Like if somebody starts to shoot, they try to assassinate me. I don't like this.
Yeah. Well, based on what I know, yes, it does seem like that. I don't know everything yet. There's more to come out, but it does seem that gunshots were in the air and blood was coming out of Donald's ear. And so it seems like he was not trying to give him an ear piercing. He was probably trying to kill him. We're getting some pictures of the dude. Huh?
Yeah. I guess this is who they're suspecting that is the shooter.
Bring up the tweet where they have video of the sniper on the other side.
That was on the roof.
They're on the other side.
Who was returning fire?
The SS, the Secret Service sniper. See if you can guys. Yeah, there you go.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. And you know,
what are you pointing out, Gabe?
Well, it looks like the shot happened, and then one of the shots in that mix was coming from the Secret Service sniper up there. But I mean, this is where you want to stay away from conspiracies.
Nate,
he was looking at something.
Hold on, it's Nate sound. Let's unmute Nate. Nate, I think you're muted.
Yeah, it looks like initially it looked like he flinched. I was thinking he flinched when the shot started happening, but yeah, it goes off of him before.
He's looking. He's got the scope on him.
Look, he shifts to the right.
Yeah, it looks like he adjusts for what. Yeah, he moves his whole stand to the right after the shot.
I was thinking that might be recoil. If he takes the shot, he's a little bit unstable, and he takes the shot, and the gun recoils, and then he's got to get back on it. But I'd want to know.
Really see something that said, take a look at what happened. And you know that.
Yeah, that's
interesting footage.
Yeah, it looks like he was a little bit off balance in his shooting position.
Hey, has Tucker said anything yet on X, guys? I wonder what he's said yet as I'm going through X. I think Marcus just got back in town from Spokane. I'm gonna give him a link too, see if he can join us. Man, Nate, this is so much fun hanging out with you, bro. I'm so glad that you're hanging out with us.
We haven't done this in a while.
Yes,
hung out
man.
this long together.
This is good stuff. I know you said you don't like to armchair quarterback and Monday morning quarterbacking, but I think
Steve Dace just put a Trump sign in his yard.
Yeah, I think
just 5 minutes ago.
Okay, yeah, no. Can I let me talk about that for a second?
And Steve's been very hard against Trump. He campaigned hard for DeSantis.
This is what Steve did. Is exactly what happened to me. I had my Christian flag. I had my American flag. I was a little slow to put up my Christian flag. I have a different concept of what flags are to do and what they're supposed to be, and I think there's a intentional split that's trying to happen with us. But when I was watching, I was on I was on X, and I was going down my scroll, and it was during the time where they had the whole trans thing at the White House, and they had a guy who had gotten surgery to look like a woman, blackface for women, and they had him in the White House lawn showing his chest and with the whole trans flag in the background and kissing on Biden, and I was like, yes, I'm done. At that very moment, I went and got my drills. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to fly my Christian flag, my American flag, right? And I watched those moments, and one way or another, I'm not kind of galvanized me and say that this has already been, the categories for me have already been created. And I keep trying to recreate a different category, but it's not as easy as people think. These categories haven't been designed. Yeah, you might not. I have some serious disagreements with Trump. When you start looking, we were going to do this next week. You look at his 47 plan, Project 47.
Well, Project 25, that's not his.
No. I know. Listen to me. Listen to what I said. Okay. Project 47, that's Trump's plan.
Yep.
What Trump plans to do. And you compare that to Project 25, and you're like, as a Christian, I have more affinity for 25, and 47 looks real soft. It just looks a little bit better than the left, and so, there goes Tucker. But my point is to say is like I totally understand why Steve Dace, even though he has massive disagreements with Trump, it forces you to say, nah, we ain't doing this. Like I might have disagreement with this guy, but we ain't doing this. This is game over. I have to have some sort of support for this guy because this is it. This is where we're at right now. These moments, whether I like it or not, they kind of galvanize us, which is why we still have to have wisdom in working through these times. Nate, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that it's also important to say that, when we have these times, we can't lose our minds because that's also when George W. got rid of some pretty significant barriers to protect American citizens in times of war. So we can't be in a hurry to jump off the cliff necessarily. I don't think that this is not saying we don't back Trump and that we let Biden continue to lead when he's obviously a more competent candidate and conducted himself this way. But that we can't be manipulated by the highs and the lows.
That's right.
As Christians,
but boy,
we have to be sober minded and we have to be steady in these times. But at the same time, what we saw out of him was pretty awesome.
I think too, though, Nate, one of the things it's really important. Everybody's kind of acting like they can float in the middle right now. I don't know if you can.
Babylon B.
I don't really think you can play the middle game right now. And
there's never been neutrality.
Marcus Pittman just showed up in the room and started talking out of turn. I was going to introduce you, but
just tweeted out.
What did Babylon B say?
Trump indicted for inciting assassination attempt on himself.
Oh
my gosh! Literally, this just came out 51 minutes ago.
Brutal. I'm not gonna lie, guys. The humor is a little too early for me still. I'm just gonna tell you the truth.
But they're making obviously a political point there.
Oh, that one was too soon.
Is that the headline
Marcus,
for who? Babylon B. Oh wow, that's funny. Yep. Babylon B is already. They are killing it right now.
Marcus, you were driving home when this happened. When you found out about it, what were you?
We were actually shopping in Spokane, and my wife's sister called and was like, "Did you see the news?" And said that Trump got shot in Pennsylvania. We didn't know anything that happened, and she was like, "It looks like he's okay." So we, hopped on YouTube TV on our phones, and we're walking around the store listening to YouTube TV, asking the people that work there, "Did you hear the news?" And then we just ran back home as fast as we could so we could see what all was happening. And but it was very difficult to go all the way from Spokane to Moscow without any cell phone reception. What year are we living in, guys? Yeah. we had AM radio on through that, but
that's funny.
I'll say I have a lot of thoughts on it initially. I mean, like, one is that crowd was so calm and collected during that time.
Yeah. Hey, did you hear Nate? Did you hear Nate's response to some of that? Is because they couldn't identify the fact that it was he thinks allegedly.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, too. But even after the fact, after they found out and it was kind of clear, they didn't act like the kind of people that were that would riot the Capitol building or form an insurrection. They were way more calm and collected than you would expect, I think, and they were cheering. And whatnot. So I think there's the behavior of the crowd was amazing. The other thing too, I think for me at least, was that photo of Trump holding his fist in the air with the flag seemingly almost in the upside down position is a tremendous image. And I think it's really important to realize that Trump was on reality television for 10 years. He knows how to improvise stories. And he knows, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. A lot of people say that's a bad thing. I'm saying that is why he is what he is. He is a storyteller. He did that for 10 years. He had the #1 show. It was Darren Doan that told me way back in maybe 2015 that Trump was going to be president because of the fact that he could carry a show nationwide.
I just want to point out though, Marcus, it's different. It's different to tell stories when bullets are whizzing past your head.
But but that's what reality television is, right? It's like responding to the instances. It's soft scripted.
Yeah,
for sure. But there's a lot of it takes a special talent to be a reality television star.
Yeah,
that's not something anybody can do. And he knows when the cameras are on, and that was a significant moment. And I think, Biden is not a storyteller. He doesn't know how to craft a narrative. He can't do anything right now. But see, it's tremendously significant. And even if he was aware of it or not, I think that should just tell you how important
Biden tells
stories are.
Biden tells stories. Tells about popcorn.
What?
What's his name? The guy.
Pop-Tart.
He tells stories about the kids rubbing on his legs. Remember that? He tells stories.
Oh yeah, he's a bad storyteller.
There we go.
But
corn pop. That's who it is.
There you go.
Corn pop. He tells.
So I got back from Spokane, so I missed it. But did you put up 50 Cent? What 50 Cent was doing?
I did.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, man, like there's just it's going to be very difficult. I think. The timing is amazing with RNC on, start Sunday night or Monday night?
It's a Monday. It's a Monday.
Yeah, so RNC is really great for the Republican Party right now. I will say this. That's amazing. That's culture right there. But I will say this. Trump better not pick a safe VP like Mike Pence.
He doesn't have to do that now.
He cannot do anyone that the deep state thinks they can get to, and that they would like better than Trump. This is, I think, the only saving grace for Biden right now.
Well, and
is
also,
Kamala is.
Yeah. And
what?
Also, I think related to that, he has to pick a VP candidate that the deep state would think that he's worse than Trump, that his VP candidate be worse than Trump, because if they again attempt to kill Trump again, that VP candidate's got to be less likable to the deep state. It's like the reverse of Kamala and Joe Biden. I mean, Kamala's less likable than Joe Biden, but for all the less likable reasons. But Trump's VP candidate
Tucker jumped to the top of the list in honestly, because there's the only one I could think that can be as detrimental.
Well,
maybe
that's a good point, Marcus. I wonder now, seeing where we are in America, I don't think you could have ever been able to get Tucker Carlson to consider being the vice president of the United States. But Tucker, I know you're what he's no. Somebody send Tucker this. I wonder now with what just happened if Tucker would actually consider. I would love to see a tweet from Tucker saying, "Listen, Trump, I got your back. Pick me to be VP." Like that's what I would like.
There's got to be some serious discussions right now. There's got to be some serious discussions because you cannot have a Mike Pence character that can be bought or swayed or moved,
especially after this moment.
Yeah, not after this moment. No, and so this is. This reminds me of 9/11. I was in DC for January 6th. So I mean, it's significant in that level. But this seems more like an actual situation. I think, and it's stunning. It's stunning to watch and see. We all kind of knew it was going to happen, I guess. That's right, Marcus. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Especially with what was happening with Biden this week. That's right. The first thought I had was like, well, no one's going to be talking about Biden anymore. And I didn't necessarily mean that conspiratorially, but it's absolutely true. And then, watching Biden would look like he got woke up out of bed to talk
For
about
that presser. I know.
Just unbelievable. So it's, this is what the left has wanted. They've been calling for. I saw some tweets that the crowd looked back at the cameras at the event and said, "This is your fault." And so, I mean, we've been living in this high energy sort of cultural narrative for the past 8 years, really. Of course, it comes to that. I think it was inevitable.
I mean, Trump's VP pick should be someone like Steve Bannon.
Somebody just said that in the chat.
Something just like
that's exactly it. Yeah, it can't be anybody. It can't be a safe. It can't be a safe play.
NPR says this is their headline: Trump is fine after apparent gunshots fired at rally. And then Newsweek, this is their headline: MAGA responds with outrage after Donald Trump injured at Pennsylvania rally.
That can't be real.
Those are
they just can't be real. Those just can't be real.
I'm pretty sure
if those are real, they need to
people that I trust that wouldn't do that.
If those are real, they just need to be shut down. Be done with anything and everybody like that. Just completely. Marcus, one of the things that I want to make sure you finish your thoughts first because I want to go and talk a little bit about gun control in a minute because I know that's coming. But I got to.
That'll be Tuesday of the GOP convention.
I don't think they're going to wait that long. I don't think they're going to wait that long to talk about gun control. But Marcus,
it's already coming. My wife saw one of her friends post. That we need to talk about gun control. I really hope Trump doesn't cave to that.
You know what? I hope we don't cave to that.
He passed the bump stock.
I don't. But here's Marcus. One thing you said that you're dead right about, and I remember myself in the moment. I got the message from my producer before I watched any social media. He sent it out. He was so quick on it. Neil was on this, and he was like, "Trump just been shot. He's okay. Here's the details." It was fantastic. But my first response immediately in the moment was like, "Seems about right." Right? Like I wasn't surprised that they tried to assassinate him, or somebody tried. I don't know who the they is. I want to think about that for a second.
I would have the same thought if Biden got shot. It's not a Trump versus Biden thing.
I see what you're saying.
It would be like, it makes sense. I think the thing is like, we don't understand. This was a great question. I think it was brought up at our pipe club. Somebody said the politicians, we have to ask them is, do they believe that there are actually enemies on the other side of them? Right? Because I think so many politicians just want to be nice, or they want to be kind, and both sides of the aisle sort of guys. And it's like, but are there actually enemies on the other side? There are the enemies, and we don't have those conversations very much. But it's a time. It's a time for the Democrats to come across the aisle. That's for sure. But it's not a time for us to sort of all try to be lovey-dovey with each other and whatnot. There's enemies in this country, and they want blood and they want death. And we have to realize that's not a call for violence.
No,
it is for sure a call for some sort of rhetorical fighting, and a change in our language as to the realities, and maybe more of our storytelling narrative and how we present what's really happening. It's people like Mike Pence don't survive the next 4 years, or probably, I mean, even post-Trump presidency, should God protect him and he actually make it to president. But even like a post 4 years from now, who does the GOP have right now? But I mean, Tucker, that can even be comparable. I remember me and Jason Farley were at a rally, and it was Trump was at the rally and Tucker was at the rally. This was for the Turning Point conference we were at, and Trump and Tucker were both at the rally, and both of the audience reaction was identical, right? And so there's there's very few people that can do that. But that's where the Republican Party is at right now for presidents and candidates, and that needs to be also, I think, in our local elections and all the way through state and city councils and all that sort of stuff.
This right here. So, we were just talking about this, but Tucker talked about this 6 months ago about the possibility of them assassinating Trump. Everybody knew it. Everybody felt it. I remember this. I didn't know he got ridiculed so much for this, but listen to can we play this clip of what Tucker said about 6 months ago?
They called him names. He won anyway. They impeached him twice on ridiculous pretenses. They fabricated a lot about what happened on January 6th in order to impeach him again. It didn't work. He came back. Then they indicted him. It didn't work. He became more popular. Then they indicted him 3 more times. And every single time his popularity rose. So if you begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work, what's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously, and no one will say that. But I don't know how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean? Like, they have decided, permanent Washington, both parties have decided that there's something about Trump that's so threatening to them they just can't have him. They called him names,
which is really interesting.
He won anyway. Like, they impeached him.
You can stop
twice.
that, guys. It was really interesting because Trump isn't like this massively hardcore, super conservative all the way through, right? Like he's not the guy I necessarily want, right? But whatever he is, it's enough to put a fear in a group to say, not him, not that guy. Yeah.
I think people realize that there's a lot more to being president now, I think, than just winning the election. You're up against a much bigger force than the American people's votes. And I think one of the things that people see with Trump being elected is still, I think, in the ideas of people that anybody can be president. Right? Like that's really important and valuable, and there's a serious attempts to stop him. And so for him, it is. I mean, like, I don't think we can't hide around the idea that the deep state exists anymore. Look at that clip. You can see who the Secret Service agents are, by the way. They're still standing up looking around. But yeah, we have real enemies. The enemies are really real. And they are, I think, maybe it was Rod Martin or someone that posted it, saying that he posted it in his article about the Chevron, is like the real people who run the country are in the 7th floor of high rises in DC, right? They're in the middle. They're in the middle in undescript buildings, and they're making policy decisions and narratives without the people making any elected people making those decisions on behalf of the people. And I think that runs deep. I just think that runs deep. I think it's pretty clear and obvious. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore at this point.
Pastor Wilson tweeted, I don't know if you guys can pull that one up. I'll go ahead and start reading it. Since we couldn't get him on the show, he
was doing Sabbath dinner.
I get it. I mean,
yep.
So I'm not mad at that. I'm grateful. But he starts off, he says, a short thread. Let me know when you guys want to wait for me. There we go. Hey, pulled it up. A short thread on the attempted assassination of former President Trump. Thank God he was not killed, and please pray for the family of the person who was killed. Yes, please be praying for them. Thank God for the nation. Thank God the nation was spared the kind of violence that could have spread if the attempt had been successful. When in the past I've urged not taking the bait, we were talking about that earlier, this is that kind of moment I was referring to. Not taking the bait includes not venting your rage online. Give it a minute. Give yourself 24 hours.
Yeah.
There will be a lot to talk about, but it doesn't all have to be said in the next couple of hours. that iconic photo is going to be the centerpiece of all future discussions. He's dead.
Yeah, right? I thought his mugshot was going to be
that.
His.
That was his mugshot.
This just topped it.
His mugshot was as John the Baptist.
This just topped it.
His mugshot was as John the Baptist.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think those are wise words. I think those are words that we need to take.
It's just a story of hip hop repeating over and over again, right? Like that. It's what it's at first just a mugshot, then it's getting shot.
Can I say,
like that?
This is, you know what I'm happy for in this moment? I'm always trying to find the joyful times. This moment is not going to allow people to play the Christians are going to have to be completely engaged in every aspect of society. And were you able to get Jeff and those guys from Apology to come on?
I mean, I texted Jeff.
Okay. Text Luke too. See if he can come through. You are going to have some sort of biblical Christian ethic that can be applied to this situation. And you're not just going to be able to you're going to have to explain how, when you talk about the gospel is the center point for all of this to work, you're going to have to lay out what that looks like as it relates to both the family, as it relates to the church's role and duty and responsibilities, as it relates to the civil magistrate's role, duties and responsibility, and the citizens. You're going to have to lay that out. And I don't think now people are going to go back to the moment where you can just Jesus juke your way out of this one.
No.
Right? I don't think you're going to be able to do that. So UFC, did you guys bring that up for some reason? Okay, they're just going through a bunch of tweets. Go ahead if you want to play that.
Hey, I heard they just tried to whack my boy Trump. I'm glad that man's okay. Long live Trump. Let's go, baby. Trump 2024.
Denver, let's hear it for Evan Elder.
Hey.
Yo, this is...
He's got the culture. Remember when Obama was running and he had like Jay-Z and Beyonce that was performing, and I think what Hillary Clinton did too, and Trump didn't have any big celebrities that would really come and back him, and the left was using that against him. Trump doesn't have that problem this time.
This is Trump's Kendrick Lamar moment.
Yeah.
Right. This is his they not like us. Look at that.
He just needs some songs.
How could this not be? Look at that. He's got blood on his face. They not like us. Look at this. This is his moment. This is Trump's they not like us moment.
Twitter is crazy right now.
It is going insane. But you're going to have a Christian ethic. I think everybody now you're going to have to look at Christian institutions, no matter what they're doing and where they are. You're going to have to ask, do you have a plan for the restoration of America and what you're talking about doing? What does that look like? Yep, I'm about preaching the gospel. What does that look like? And how does it apply to the civil realm? How does your gospel, if you expect your gospel to change the hearts of every person that it touches? Who is that right there? Luke the Bear is coming in. Let's see if we can get Luke in here in a second. How does that work its way from the heart of every person to the civil master and to the public to the public policies? Because if you don't have a plan to do that, I don't know if I trust you anymore. Right? You don't have an answer to get us from A to B. We are in a real situation right now where we better have answers. Luke, are you? Oh, he doesn't have his camera working. Luke, get your camera started if you can, and we'll bring you in. But I mean, this is, that moment of Trump pumping his fist. Just remember that is going to live in infamy. Just remember where you were. Okay, what are you looking at? You are going through all of the threads.
There's just so much going on Twitter. All these videos are starting to pop up where Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats were talking about how
Can we pull some of those
Trump's
up?
Hitler.
Let's pull. I see we got a thread of them inside of our thread here.
One of the rhetorical plays you do is you make your opponent, you malign your opponent with one of the worst people that everyone can associate with.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, it's like, well, of course we got to kill Hitler. Hitler's bad. Of course we got to assassinate Hitler.
Former Senator Claire McCaskill.
Yeah. I think I sent you guys a Nancy Pelosi
it's in here.
one
Yeah,
too.
they're pulling them up right now.
A lot of people have tried to draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler and the use of the terminology like vermin and the drive that those men had towards autocracy and and dictatorship. The difference, though, I think makes Donald Trump even more dangerous. And that is he has no philosophy he believes in. He is not trying to expand the boundaries of the United States of America. He's not trying to overcome a neighboring country like Putin is in Ukraine. He is not going for some grandiose scheme of international dominance. All he wants is to look in the mirror and see a guy who's president. All he cares about is selfish self-promotion. That's the only philosophy he has, which makes him even more dangerous because he has actually said out loud that it would be okay to terminate the Constitution to keep him in power. He said this. He actually said those words. And the irony is all of these supposed conservative folks that have populated the Republican Party all stood around and with their thumb in their mouth going, well, yeah, okay, I guess so. It's bizarre.
She doesn't care about the Constitution anyway.
I was going to say,
none of these people care about the Constitution. Only when it benefits them do they care about it.
Well,
the
that didn't age
FBI
well.
is now the lead investigator for this Trump assassination.
Who is?
The FBI.
Oh, that makes me feel really great.
That's rich. The FBI that was just going after pro-lifers in Nashville. The FBI that was going after Trump and the secret records.
I just want to say that the when we look at Claire McCaskill's what she's saying, like they don't have nice rhetoric. They're not worried about being kind. They're not worried about partnering with people on both sides of the aisle. That is strong, almost psalm-like rhetoric that they have. And meanwhile, our storytelling is just puppies and horses. Like that's the movies that we have. Those are the stories that we have as Christians. We need psalms. We need modern day psalms. Me and Jason have been talking about this a lot. We have been so soft. We have to understand like there's legitimate enemies out there that are and they're not dumb. They know exactly what that kind of rhetoric does and leads to.
Now, our friends over at Cauldron Pool, they're in Australia.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
It's morning time over there.
Yeah, it's morning time over there. They're like, what did you think would happen? They just posted this post from Nancy Pelosi on X.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kill.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
Biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
This way. That's it right there.
Wow.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Take a look at what happened.
Cauldron Pool.
Wow.
What an amazing piece you just put together.
Wow.
What an amazing piece you just put together.
I'm going to have to get on the phone and finish this show on the way home.
Well, let's dang, I think there's no better way to end with that. What did you I love how they posted it. What did you think would happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got some final thoughts, Marcus?
No. I mean, one, I think we need to make sure that we don't turn Trump into a messiah figure. I mean, a messiah. He's not. I've already seen some tremendous blasphemy.
Yeah.
No weapon against you shall prosper, that sort of stuff. That's not the point here. Christ is our savior and Trump's savior. And I remember, David, you remember this, you were with me. Remember when Marshall Foster was on the bus and he was telling the story of Reagan's assassination attempt?
Yeah.
And that's what led Reagan to Christ in the second term. Marshall Foster died probably, I think, last year.
A couple years. I think 2 years.
A couple years ago. But that has been my hope. I was like, man, I hope this changes him in ways that we've all been praying for. But he's not a Christ figure. But there is a reason God saved him today. I was also thinking about just that verse where it says that God is the one who determines who the kings will be, and just God protecting him because God's sovereign of his whole thing, but he's also again he's not a Christ. He's not Christ. Our hope isn't in Trump. It's in Jesus, and Christ is King.
Gabe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Psalm 20 has kind of taken a whole new meaning with me. That was the psalm I was arrested in Moscow in September. Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we trust in the Lord our God. I think it's appropriate to acknowledge this is real tragic. That just happened. I mean, violence is escalating in our country. We just got off of $2 billion of destruction from BLM, and nothing was done about it. You have abortion running around, 60 million babies dying in our country. Blood needs to be atoned. The violence cries out for atonement. The only way violence can stop is with Christ. The only way you can deal with violence is in Christ. And man, I echo that, Marcus, with you 100%. I pray that Trump becomes a Christian because of this moment, and recognizes that there's a God over him that just saved his life, physically saved his life. Getting shot in the ear. I mean, what, you need just a half an inch over to die? I mean, a quarter of an. I mean, what? I don't know. I mean, he just got shot at his head. He just had a shot go past his ear, and he's alive for another day. And I hope he doesn't respond in pride and arrogance, which is a real temptation. Like, yeah, you got me. You tried to get me.
Yeah.
And instead respond in humility and gratefulness to God. Yeah, you almost got me. Yeah, you tried to. You can, but thank God that he was watching me and take care of me. Our nation needs a father right now. Not a arrogant billionaire. May he acknowledge Christ. May he repent. May he believe in Christ. And he be that guy. Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses. May Trump echo this. But we trust in the Lord our God. May Trump say that. I would love, if likely he wins the presidency, I would love for him to read that psalm on Inauguration Day. Knox?
Man, I don't think that we have to offer much evidence anymore that our nation is at a very, very massive crisis.
Yeah.
This is it. We have a massive problem in our nation, a big one, and we better fix it.
Yep.
Because it doesn't get better going down this particular trajectory. I almost want to answer the question, which way, America?
Yeah.
Right? Which way? Which way are we going to go here?
And it's not this or that. It's not Biden or Trump.
No.
It's
But
not this or that.
I do want to acknowledge the problems that we do. The problems that we have are real problems that really need fixing, that we're going to have to spend some time laying out a good strategic plan for. But if you, I think David Reese really kind of hit some of the nail on the head for me when he was talking about he really hoped that President Trump begins to see the value of protecting life even more so after this.
That's right.
Because one of the things that we need to remember, God talks about this, those who hate me love death.
Yep.
Right? And we're at the point now where we have given birth through our sin and the killings and the abortion and robbing from the innocent, not taking care of widows and orphans, not being faithful, overtaxing, all this stuff, all that, trying to fix our ecosystem problems through some sort of witchcraft and voodoo with these little things that go in the air with these huge arms. That's not going to work. You're going to have to turn to God to fix this.
That's right.
And so I don't want to remove the fact that we have a problem in front of us. We have real problems that need real fixing. And because we don't value God, we love death. And we've given birth to this. And we are going, in order to have real answers that fix real problems, we are going to have to hit our knees and ask God to forgive us for our sins.
Amen.
Every last one of them. Clean the house, Lord, top to bottom, starting with me. Get us right. If God is doing surgery right now on America and he's getting out the cancer, the prayer that we need to be having is, Lord, make sure you get it all.
Yep.
So that we learn this.
Get it all. All my sin.
All my sin.
All my sin.
Get it all out. Get it all out.
Don't miss one.
Get me right.
That's right.
Because
Amen.
If we don't go ahead and give ourselves to God and ask God to really fix this and get all this out, then guess what? When we start getting back on our feet, to use the analogy, we're not going to make it very long. We're not going to survive this. And so in order for us to get the answers to the problem, to be able to fix our nation, it has to start with biblical repentance. That's what our whole conference is about.
That's right.
The conference coming in October, the end of October.
Yep.
ProdigalAmerica.com. Fort Worth, Texas. That's exactly what our whole conference is about. And we have a list, and we started this last month, of 17 things that America needs to repent of. And one of the things that just kind of it goes without saying, but we didn't think about it to be clear on it was, like you said, Gabe, fatherhood.
Yeah.
Right? Like tonight, if you have not started doing family worship with your family, now would be a good time to bring your family together and say, you know what? Daddy hasn't been a good leader here.
When's the best time to start?
Right now.
Now.
When's
the best time to start?
I've been a poor leader of this family.
Let's go.
I haven't discipled you in the things of God like I should have. Mm-hmm. I haven't taught you biblical ethics like I should have. I haven't loved your mother the way that I should have. Yeah. And you start right there at your home. You tell your children, your father is sorry. Will you forgive me? Show your kids what to do with sin.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them how you're supposed to deal with this. And then you let them know, hey, God was kind to us today because we could have had a very different outcome with our president.
That's right.
And so let's go before the Lord and ask him to heal our nation.
Yeah.
And start from that point, discipling your family in the things of the Lord. Because the fix that we need isn't something that we can just throw in there in November.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a good place to start. That's a whole nother conversation. The fix that we need is one that's going to have to be built over the next 20 to 40 years. It's going to take some time. We didn't get into this overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. And nobody likes that. Everybody wants to do The complete opposite of what Nate Spearing was talking about. Sacrifice.
That's right.
You're going to have to discipline yourself to say, tonight we're reading the Bible, family. Tonight we're going before the Lord. Tonight we're repenting. Tonight we're going to pray for our neighbors. Tonight we're going to pray for those that persecute us, those who talk bad about us. We're going to consider them. We're going to pray for them. And through that, teaching your kids God's law, what it looks like to honor authority, 5th commandment, what it looks like to honor God, 1st commandment. And then as you're working through those things and you start implementing those things and put them into play, you start to build a fabric around your community that is very Christian, that gets into the realms of politics and gets into the realms that you can actually touch with your own hand, that has an effect on the rest of everything else. We have to build from there. The reason that we're having this problem at the top is because of what's going on at the bottom.
That's right.
And if we don't repent there, and if we don't understand what our duties and responsibility in this is,
that's right,
we're never going to get out of this. And it's not just to like understand those things, but to have practical applications of what it looks like to apply God's word to every area and part of society.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a family,
find a church,
and you're single, you need to get married. And then you need to have a bunch of kids. And if you have kids, you need to go baptize them because they are citizens of America
and of the High King.
And of the High King.
Right.
So until Monday, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. Christ is King.